Oh, is my camera? Oh, my camera, guys. Obviously, the joyous of live broadcasting here. Welcome, guys, to Avengers Weekly Recap, the show where Stardust and I go through everything within the Marvel's Avengers community. Stardust, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, mate. I can't believe it. It's already been 7 days since the last
Yes.
one.
Yes. Yes. Been 7 days, and a lot has happened in 7 days, man.
Yeah,
Um,
it's been sick. Had
yep.
you? I don't want to start off by giving you some shit, man. But how does it feel to be wrong?
About what? Sorry.
I wonder.
Uh,
I wonder
about
if.
do you want to do you want to just do consumables right away? I mean,
It's
guys.
fucking. I'm.
So
I'm feeling like a bit confrontational. Let's do
Okay,
it.
guys. So basically, how the show's gonna work today is that Stardust and I are gonna go through three topics. Obviously, these are the big ones this week. So consumables, Redroom Takeover, as well as the champion point system. And then we'll take some questions, and then we'll wrap it up. It could be a shorter show. We always say shorter show, but like it never usually goes shorter. You know?
Yeah, normally in High Ruler's case, it's the other way round, where it says it's long, but it's actually shorter.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, dude. I really do appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. All right, dude. Yeah, I mean if you want to get right into the heat then, let's do consumables. I wasn't expecting you to come gunning for me like this.
Well,
Um
so look, can I
yeah.
give a bit of backstory as to why I
Of
decided to do
course.
this? So,
Of
so
course.
basically, everyone, me and Hyrule, we like to chat before the the starting live and stuff because we're not like well just start play as soon as we've gone in and that's it, we leave. Gotta get his money's worth from me, and which is zero by the way, and basically, I was like, I am ready to talk about these consumables things, and I thought to myself, rather than wait to the very end, rather to wait to the main event, let me talk to him now while I've got all the energy in the world. So let's do this, kittens. Let's get into it.
All right, dude. So do you want to start off with your position on consumables?
No, you fucking start.
Okay, so my position on consumables was my
Do this.
position hasn't really changed. I don't like consumables, but I'd be okay if they're free. But the problem with consumables is like a multi-pronged issue with consumables, right? So the first one is that balancing around consumables means that you're basically well no, sorry, let me back up and say the contradiction long ago with your XP bullshit. Remember the ding post, right? Ding ding ding. Do you remember that post?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Yeah. You are my co-host. I'm
Yeah,
asking you.
yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
like the contradiction with the ding post where they're like we want players to not ding as often so they can learn the characters, and then it's like a few months later you bring out consumables, right? So for me it's like you're contradicting your post that you had to double down on, right? You had to like it wasn't so bad with the original post, but it was the double down, and then it's like you're doubling down and then you're doubling back to me right now. Then with consumables and XP boost, it feels like you're having to balance around two different things, right? So you're having to balance your progression around consumables, which means that you're incentivized to use consumables in a way to reach progression, right? So that could take the form of if they're balancing end game content, right? End game content with the idea that people who use consumables are going to be at a place where people not using consumables, right? So you're incentivized there to even use consumables. And it's just the idea of the way they've worded it as well, right? They've worded it so poorly that it's hard to not take it as like this could be something paid for in the future, right? It almost feels like this is going to be a very bad comparison, but it's almost like getting hooked on something and then people are selling you more and more and more, right? Or it's like they give it to you for free and then you're hooked and then it's like, "Oh, wait, it's $5 now. $10 now. $20 now," right? That's very hyperbolic, but the idea is that by doing it now, doing it free, and we were just talking about New World, right? So New World, for anyone who doesn't know, is an MMO coming out in August, and they're launching paid consumables right now, and people are pissed over in that community, right? So it seems like they might be taking the approach of let's introduce it slowly, let's introduce it as free, and then once people get used to them, they're kind of integrated into the game and it's not really something that people are actively thinking about, then we'll slowly kind of integrate more into like a paid way to go, right? It's like a slow crawl, you know and I don't like where the crawling is going.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So
Yes.
Here's my sort of thing behind the way they worded it, right? So
Sure.
obviously back in the day before this game came out, they set
Yes.
themselves up by saying that nothing in the future, as in heroes, content drops and shit, will cost any money. I believe now
Hmm.
they have regretted that quite highly. Right? I mean, we
Right.
don't, but
Sure.
they probably would, right? So
Sure.
my theory is that them saying it's free, because I think the reason they're in the marketplace is to, how we get like free nameplates and shit every week.
Sure. Yeah.
That'll just take that. That's all the thing, and you can choose to either hoard them up for a character in the
But
future.
why not put him in a vendor?
Because they've said themselves you can earn them for free. We'll just got to think of ways to do it. So that's what they're setting up for. And I know you're pulling a face, but that's exactly what I heard. And the thing is with me, right? And this is the thing is, you're looking into the future. You're looking, what if they go back on themselves? The thing is they've set themselves up completely now for the narrative of free. And he's done it again, Lou. He's rubbing his fucking eyes. And it's like free, and then maybe combine with units or something like that. Maybe we can do anything like that. Them going back on that, which they could possibly do, will cause them more shit than it's actually worth. No one's buying that. No one will.
I, no, I think people will, man. I really do think people will. Like, here's the thing: you've introduced a system with champions points that is very alt not friendly. Like, it's not alt friendly at all, right? The whole point of this is to get it's a time sink. Essentially, the champions point system is a time sink to make you more engaged with the game, right? So when you introduce a system like that, it incentivizes you to play more within the game. And let's face it, that curve is going to be wild. Like, it's not going to be something people are going to do in a week. Like, if you think you're getting all 372 champions points within a week, I don't know, man. Like, you're smoking something I want in on, because the idea is that you're basically throwing your life away. And I say this very hyperbolically, but you're throwing your life away to get your character up to the champions level that you feel like you need to do. Then you do it again and again and again and again. But what's the perfect solution to that problem? Well, it's consumables, right? It's consumables. Like, they've instituted a system in the game that perfectly takes advantage of consumables. Now you're looking at Black Panther, then you're looking at Spider-Man, then you're looking at She-Hulk, Winter Soldier, Captain Marvel, right? They've introduced these systems that are very not alt friendly, but they've introduced a perfect solution to fixing that problem.
The thing is as well is that this whole XP
Free,
boosters,
yes.
that also makes it a thing where it's like that's still gameplay. Do you know what I mean? That's still you getting engaged with the game, but potentially a different way. They've been putting a lot of units in recently. Like, so you run the Mega Hive back when the Mega Hive was actually, working, and you
Hmm.
get a shitload of units in return. Now they're doing the cosmetic sort of rework with the vendor and stuff like that. Who's to say, oh, we can't buy XP boosts like that? So we can't just keep getting XP boosts all the time for doing nothing. We have to earn them. You know what I mean? And that engages.
There's gonna be more boosters too. Like, these are just the start, right? Like, they told us. So I don't know what they said on Friday, but they told us that the whole point of consumables is to help players on their journey. It's like the way they worded it made it seem like a catch up mechanic, right? So, like, I imagine, like, we're having a conversation about XP, but like in 2 months we could be having a conversation about a bunch of other consumables, right?
I think that, like, the thing is we're in the same boat if they show up on Thursday and for some reason they cost a fiver. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously they're not that, because they've literally said this one on Thursday is
Yeah, it's
free.
free.
But
Yeah.
we're on the same boat as that. I think that them
Hmm.
going, it's free in the marketplace, we'll look for other ways for you to earn them, is them essentially saying, we're going to give one to you, everyone can use it, and then in the
Hmm.
future we're going to give you a way to earn them, instead of us just putting them in the marketplace so anyone can go over there and do it, because then everyone is has basically got the same level of XP coming into their accounts. Whereas, say for example, the Mega Hive, right, just for an example, gives
Sure.
you like 3 days, 50%. Only people who do the Mega Hive will fucking pew straight up, whereas the people who decide they're not going to bother doing that grind are
Yeah.
going to still be slow as fuck. And I think
Sure.
that they're trying to, at the minute, when they say, like, we're trying to look for ways for you to earn them, it's them basically saying, we don't really know yet how we're going to get you, what missions we're going to put them in, if we're going to put them in a vendor, if we're going to do this, that, and the other.
Right.
But we're going to make sure that, when it comes to earning, like putting them in the marketplace, to me, it's just because they can't make a fucking nameplate and skin every week. So they'll think, right, when we run out of those things, we'll put a booster in. Do you know what I mean? And the booster, this one coming up, is to incentivize to force players into playing Red Room Takeover because they keep saying Red Room will come with a bunch of XP bonuses. It's a
Mm-hmm.
good fucking sandwich with the
Mm-hmm.
thing. That's why that's there. In future weeks, when there's no new content drops, maybe they don't bother with the XP boost. Maybe they do to get players playing over the weekend. It's basically an excuse to force players who like this champion system to stick around. It's their basic idea of double XP weekend without actually having a double XP weekend. Does that make sense? Like, so you have to grab it, confirm it, done.
I guess, but it's just like so weird that you tie it to a booster instead of just like up in its server side. You know what I mean? Why not just up its server side at that point? You know, like, and that was my question in the video. It's like when you deliberately make a booster a consumable when the solution to that problem is just do it server side. Why not just
Because
do it server
because
side?
because and I don't know this, and I don't really know how this game works, and I'm
Okay.
probably going to sound dumb when I say this, but
Well,
the only thing that's server side that can just happen in a blink of an eye is stuff in cosmetics and
well,
marketplaces. The game, the
that's
game would need like a patch, wouldn't it, to for that sort of system in
I
there.
wouldn't
It's
think
the same.
so.
It's the same as when Quick Match had to get patched to put 10 XP in there. It's not something they can just go boop and do. Not with this game anyway. That's
Well,
why we can still play when we're offline, just not certain stuff where we have to be online for it.
sure. Now, granted, I don't know how this game works either, but like every other mobile game I've played, or not, sorry, mobile game, every other online multiplayer game I've played is usually a server side kind of XP is done. Now, obviously, with this, whatever, it's possible, but like, I like literally, it's like Star Wars, Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, like Division, I think at one point. Like I
This
play.
this this game is not server side. I can promise you that, just
Well,
from
there's a
what I've
lot. Well,
heard.
there's a lot, but like then I don't know, man. Like for XP stuff, I guess maybe, but like at that point, that's just I don't know. Like for me, it's like I would just rather see events tied around gaining things, much like the Red Room Takeover. That's cool. Like the fact that they're putting XP stuff in as like rewards based around like the champion point system coming in, it's like that's cool. It's just like there's just so much there that like I'm very worried about. And like we've had this conversation before, whereas like you're more focused on like the immediate stuff, right? Like you're more focused on the more present issues at hand, right? Stuff like, I guess, like OLTs, for example. Like you want this stuff out first and then cross the bridge when you get there, whereas I'm looking at it and going like, I see some worrying signs. So for me, I'm like half in and half out of like focus on the here and now, then focus on the future of this, right?
I think that them setting up the narrative that like they're going to be free now is essentially being like they are going to always be free. Because think about the bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Like it'd be crazy to fucking just all of a sudden just go, no, you know what, 20 quid, lads. Do you know what? They're
it's
not.
it's so
I
tough,
know
man, because
there's.
I see what
Yeah.
you're saying. I see what you're saying. I do. I told, dude, listen, I see what you're saying. It's just when they can't give us a hard no in a private meeting, and we get PR answers, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's such a weird thing. Like, I understand like the wording publicly, like, but it's a private meeting, dude. Like, and they can't give us a hard no when the question's being directly asked. Like, you know what I mean? Like that to me is
It's
very
the same
worrying.
answer. It's the same answer they gave everywhere, though. And the thing is, like, it's the thing. Like, obviously, again, I'm just gonna read chat as well at points
Yeah, go
because
for it.
chat helps the points. Ashley pointed out this is client side, which is how I wanted to word it. I just couldn't think of how I was gonna do it. So, like, your XP is based on your saved game data, right? So if I fucking do a situation where like, oh, I've lost my game data, that's why I can't just get it back because it's a save data thing.
Right, but like the
That's so.
XP,
Do you see what I'm saying?
but the XP that you're given based on the enemies that you fight, like the fact that like quick match for 10 plus XP is obvious. Like I don't know, man. Maybe for me, like I don't know. Like obviously I don't know, but it just feels like would it, like all that be stored server side or client side? I guess then maybe I don't know. I don't know enough about game design. It just feels like every other game out there has done some sort of XP bonus where they tie events into like XP and then like and then this one can't, I guess. you know
I, I just the thing is,
and
and
I'm not
like
that's not me putting you on the hot seat. Like that's not me like saying like Stardust, you're wrong. That's just my question out there into the void, I guess.
I think that like so for example, I saw someone also mention like, why don't they level it up and like make it so that it's definitely less convoluted. And do I see the point in consumables? Not really. It's not
Right.
really sort of like it doesn't need to be there. Obviously
Sure.
not. Like, and I'm not like I'm bored ruler and imagine dust. No, I need to stop reading chat. It's distracting me.
Yes.
I the thing is that at the minute it's a free thing. You know what I mean? And we can fucking go back and forth. Everyone can tell me like Stardust fucking. No one's done this by the way, but Stardust, you're like a dickhead. Why are you thinking this? Or like and stuff like that. It's not that I'm defending it. If it costs anything, I'm out, lads. I'm
Right.
out. I'm not touching this game with a fucking pole. I'm
Right.
just not. But when I was reading that blog,
Hmm.
I got the impression that this XP boost they're doing on Thursday and the whole like, oh, Red Room give you more and stuff like that is basically like, this looks daunting. Well, you better play fucking Red Room. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Play our
Right.
that will be where we give you a fat load of XP from it.
Sure.
And it's kind of like, and we'll also give you these XP boosts, because you got to remember as well is that they know that the best thing in their arsenal is the characters' kits and combat.
Sure.
So to me, they can say it won't take you a weekend. We'll have to see, because they probably thought that about the
What won't
Yusuke
take you
protocol, and I did that in 4 hours.
wait, sorry, won't take you a weekend for what, the Red Room takeover?
No, sorry, the champion levels.
There's no chance, bro. There's no chance you're getting
No,
that done
no,
in a
listen,
weekend.
listen, right, listen. And
372 levels,
I know,
bro.
and I tell you the reason I'm saying this, and I'm not, it's probably not a weekend, it's probably not, but I don't think that because so at the minute we've got 8 characters, right? This is before
Mhm.
Panther and Spider-Man stuff like that. So, giving this incentive of being like, oh, it's account wide, free stuff. Don't be afraid to switch out because we know you like fucking playing as different characters. But if you
Mm.
want to drive home all this XP to one character, then you're going to be sailing. And I think that's the idea of it is that like play our event. If it's not into it, at least you have something to play with. And then we're going to be releasing more shit with more XP ties to it, with more XP rewards. So you have to complete them and stuff like that to get up your champions levels and all that. Because to me, if you're going to do consumables paid, what's the point in just having the champions levels just be minor little stat boosts?
Well, I mean, that's how a lot of
Why
these
not something
systems work, right?
fucking nuts? Yeah,
Well,
but this is like 1% defense boost.
right, but like I mean, like they take things from other games and try to like amalgamate it into their games. So like these are like and a lot of these systems elsewhere, they aren't huge, crazy kind of like out there kind of systems. Usually, the idea is that you kind of it's like an incremental build up, and then on top of like everything else, right? This isn't to say like we're also still missing like a comic book rework as well, right? Which is coming. So like at the end of it, you still could have a very beefy character, even though it's like the first level is like only like 1% addition to like whatever you're putting that point into, right? But when you start getting down the list, man, when you start going down the columns, like you start adding like big percentages.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of different ways they can add it as well. Because
Sure.
you got to, like you could do login bonuses and like you get through the week. And I stole that from Drifted. I'm not even going to pretend that was my own idea. And I got you get to the end of the week or the end of the month, and you get like a
Yeah.
fucking XP boost. Like it's there's probably ways to force you in to like get that XP boost and use it during those 3 days. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
oh, it's 3 days. Well, you instantly feel the need to play a lot during those 3 days because now you're going to waste it otherwise. And because it doesn't stop when you go off the console or PC or whatever,
Right. Yeah.
you have to force your fucking self to like, okay, all right, I have to play this weekend. Then it's a fact, you
Right.
know, and that could be another reason why these are even a thing in the first place. And that's what I get out of it. I get the fear, the future fear of it, but at the
Mm.
minute I see it as just a fucking big brain way as to force people to play as much as possible because I'll be honest, my idea was to stack all the XP boosters for when Spider-Man comes out and go fucking nuts, or Black Panther, so then once the charity event's over I can actually play it and catch up. Do you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, but I know I'm not going to be able to do that because I have the XP boosters in my fucking inventory and it's gonna stress me out. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, fuck, I gotta use these bastards. So it's that sort of thing that yes, they can hear me say that and hear these things and go, "That's interesting. We need some money." But to do it, but it'd have to be so far in their lifeline. No, I can't, Kieran. If it goes so, if it goes so far in their lifeline where it's like we don't have any of the content yet, but here's like, oh, fucking 20 quid for an XP boost. You're joking, lads. Like, they if they're gonna ever do it, there's got to be more than what there is. They can't make that front and center. And I know people are saying this is Marvel's Avengers you're talking about. Do you know how many decisions they've made that have made us scratch our heads? I get it, lads. I get it. But I can't think of them going back on themselves like that. That's silly. And I know it's like, oh, but what about they said about the dings and that, right? Don't fucking look at the camera like I need to not look at your face.
I mean, because I was gonna bring it up. Like, you change XP, it's a linear to a curve, and then you double down on it, and with a really wordy, very snarky message, and then a few months later, you bring out something that allows new players to kind of progress faster than we were able to, right? And totally negating everything you said to the current player base. That to me is like, it's not a smack in the face, but it's just like, how many times can they say something to us and we just take it at face value now, right? That's my issue more than anything. It's like, ultimately, the change that they made at the time wasn't that bad. I think everyone can mostly agree with that, right? But they made the change with the idea was that the curve is going to increase the higher you go, right? I guarantee, like, they made this in like change all the way thinking about like champion point system, XP boosters, whatever. So it's like they didn't give us the full story because the systems probably weren't developed, but they themselves internally had an idea of where they wanted to go. But it's just like the way they've worded it, it publicly now, whoever wrote that message now looks like an asshole. We'll never know who wrote that second message, but like, you look like an asshole. You look like an idiot.
We were talking about this, and I'll bring the point up here. Is
Sure.
that okay? Say when Black Panther comes out, right? If people who they actually are overwhelmed by the skill points. Maybe it is a bit too much for some players. Like my niece, for example, who loves Marvel, isn't going to get on and know exactly what build to put on the characters. So potentially having that slower thing, I understand. But then for players like us who actually understand shit and understand the basic, do you know what I mean? Like, so we can just say, all right, you XP boosters, Black Panther straight to 50. Let's fucking get those champion points on the go. And I think that what you've done then is you've given players a potential choice to whether stick with that message of, okay, I'm a bit overwhelmed, I'm going to relax, not get myself there as quick as possible, or nah, I know exactly what I'm doing, don't treat me like a dummy, I'm going to grab this XP boost and go for it. I think that's how I see it as well. That's how I see it. Yeah, the word in the first message was dumb as fuck. Ding, what's that? Like,
Right.
I'm totally
It's
on
just
board
like, it
with
just
that,
feels like
but
I see what you're saying. It just feels like, they say one thing and then months later they come out and it's totally contradictory. Even if your heart's in the right place, it's just like, Like, do we trust the public message anymore that they give us, knowing that like there's
Oh, it's
potential?
wank. It's wank
Yeah, 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 yeah,
communication. It's
yeah, yeah. Of
absolutely
course,
awful.
of
Like
course.
there's no
Yeah,
conversation on that one. Like, and I
right,
think that's like an every part of the game thing. I think that's not even just this. Like we can talk about so many different times where
right.
it's like, I don't really understand. You know, why this? Why is this? Why is that? I totally understand it. Like,
Yeah.
so you know,
And
that's me sort of being like, oh well, they said it this way. I just I don't know,
it's
mate.
just
I
like,
don't know.
yeah, no, I know what you're saying, and ultimately, like you said, like you're worried about the here and now. I'm looking, a little bit in the future. It's just like for me, it's just like the communication aspect of it is just like so crazy, man. Like now I know why whoever wrote that second message did not, sign their name off on it. You know what I mean? Imagine writing that message knowing what was coming down the pipeline, and then you have some players who are like, wait a second, like
Well,
now,
that's the thing. A lot of
yeah.
sorry, I keep cutting you off. A
No,
lot
you're
of
good.
these
You're good.
things, a lot of these things like this consumable situation. I mean, there were probably little talks about it. Do you know what I mean?
Sure,
But it
sure.
seems like these sort of things where it's like a month, like 2 months later or a month later, the guy or girl who wrote the message gets a knock on their door or whatever, being like, "So we thought of this idea, right? Now, hold me if you've heard this before. What about consumables?" And it's like, "Fuck." Do you know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
it probably is one of those situations where it's like because CD have to go through so many different fucking men in suits throwing ideas and shit like that. It's like the consumables idea probably wasn't even in their mindset, but some big brain was like, "Fucking, we can get people to play the game more often if you do this. So maybe do
Hmm.
this for a little bit." Because consumables to me isn't the biggest, most difficult task to add in the entire world, but if it
No.
does, whether it's for my reasons and forces people to play the game more often because of the champions levels and stuff because they want to get stronger than their
Hmm.
mates and that to earn
Hmm.
the XP boosts, or it's your reason to get more money. Either or, it benefits the game in some different way. So that's my mindset to me. Like I can just see I can
So
see
can I ask you a hypothetical?
yeah, of course.
Okay. Now, do you think potentially, say for example, they like say right around Wakanda comes out, they have paid
Yeah.
consumables on War for Wakanda launch, right? Do you
Okay.
think the money that they would make based off consumables is worth the backlash then that they may get for that? Knowing now what I showed you with New World, for example, knowing now what I showed you, as that being
I
like your
mean
base of like,
I mean look, War for Wakanda could be absolutely perfect, but because of the foundation this game set itself up at launch, there's
mhm.
gonna be people who hate it and really hate it.
Sure.
To do that and then do something like that as well.
Hmm.
Talk about shooting yourselves in the dick. Like War for Wakanda could be the thing that really fucking boosts this game up. Show it at E3, it's looking sick, release it, there's no issues with it, you don't do any of that shit you mentioned. Mate, player
Sure.
base, are you mad? I think we're rolling in a really healthy space if they
Hmm.
nail War for Wakanda with all the other content they've got behind that as well. But you then fuck that up and you say, "Oh, guess what, bud? Payable consumables." People are gonna put their heads in their hands and say, "You were so close. You were so
Right.
fucking
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
to getting a perfect thing, and you fucked it because you
Right.
decided to put more money, try and get more money in your pockets. You were so close." And I would be so annoyed for the players because, like, people are so excited for Black Panther more than anyone else and this War for Wakanda thing and sorry I can't speak and War for Wakanda got so many views and stuff like that.
Mm.
We could be in a really healthy spot with this game where there is no game dead conversation if this lands and it shows off really well at E3 and stuff. But if they then fuck that and they say consumables for a tenner, £10, $10, whatever, for
Right.
like a week, you've ruined it. You're so close, and that would
Right.
really annoy me.
Fair. Okay. I guess to wrap up this consumables talk, so they made a mention. I don't know if they said this on Friday, but they highlighted that the page scrolls, right? The page scrolls, they said. So to me, that seems like there's going to be a lot more consumables down the pipeline, different quantities of different consumables and different types of consumables themselves, right? Um, do you want to take a guess and talk about which one do you think is going to be next? If you had to guess.
What, like next consumable
Next
sort of
consumable.
thing?
Yeah.
Mate, I don't know, because what else could you do besides XP boosts? Besides, like,
Uh,
I know you've got some ideas because you play mobile games and shit like
sure,
that, but
sure.
like, I don't. So like, for me, it's like, so XP boosts is shit like that. I'm like, what?
I
Like, I had to do some, research and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
so let me try and think.
I mean, like usually there's consumables for like different gear chance finds, or you get different gear, different or different ones based on like buffing your stats or whatever. Like you can kind of just take whatever system you want, take like a numerical system, and like just find ways to use a consumable to buff it, right? So this could be like your willpower, your defense, your attack, your chance to find exotics, right? Like there's so much there that like you can just
Oh,
oh, two times
sorry,
resources from
Matt.
chest, so nest star there. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's yeah, sorry, anyways, go.
So I have a mental thing. This is purely speculation, but they
Mm.
said that Tuesday will also have a different gear thing, where gear we want will drop more often, right?
Right, so
What if
that's yes.
what if they take a theory that I had a long time ago and they let exotics drop in the world, right?
That could be
Wait,
cool.
that would be
Uh-huh.
pretty mental, wouldn't it? So if you release consumables like that and you make it a higher chance, there we go. You know what I mean? You get
Okay,
like,
so
oh,
what
you
did
can drop
okay
exotic. So
okay, what did they say about 1.7's gear change? Because I feel like I'm gonna shit on some hopes and dreams here. What did they say exactly about gear? I've seen a few
so
different things running around.
hold on. Let me try and like think about it for a second.
Okay, because what
All right. So
oh, you got it. Okay, I was
right,
gonna say
no, no, you say what it was because I'll
okay, I've
remember it
seen people
from.
talk about gear changes with both 1.7 and Redroom Takeover. To clarify, what changes are being made is kind of what you said, right? So gear that you don't want or is less valuable is going to drop less, and gear that you want is going to drop more. So this includes legendaries or whatever, right? And then with the Redroom Takeover, which we'll talk about more, is that they're going to drop gear that has been used sparingly throughout the game's life so far. I've heard people talk about new gear or whatever. It's not new gear. It's just simply gear
No,
that.
no, no, no.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, we're on the same page.
Yeah, no. So obviously the thing is, when I heard that, and again we'll go into that like in a bit, but because we're talking about gear anyway,
Mm.
um, I don't want to like have to play Red Room Takeover and get given like 13.5% chance at cloning labs. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
because that's nothing. Like, hopefully it's actually gear that looks juicy, and it isn't one of them things. Ideally, for a 150 hero, I should be going through levels, getting more purples and uh, yellows and even reds than blues. And if they
Yeah, of
and for some
course.
and if they obviously they're not gonna full on say this, but if I play like the game and I end up with like two blues compared to my 30 legendaries, then yeah, gear's a bit shit, but at least I'll feel like I actually can look at it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, why not make the better gear spawn more often when loot is a bit because we're
Mm.
gonna have to eventually go up another 10
Yep.
and or we're gonna have to change it all depending on how mental the gear changes. So why not just say, oh, let's fucking dump him all on because we've still got a grind there. So um so obviously we won't see as many drops from enemies, but there's a good chance that maybe we get surprised and you kill a fucking elite enemy and it's like red. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you pick up stuff. That's cool. Again, that's speculation. Or I'm just excited for it. I'm just
Yeah.
excited to see it.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it all kind of plays out. I feel like they've made this change before, right? They've tried to. Am I correct on that?
I feel like the guy in the dev stream was like, we've tried to make changes before, but they never really worked. So another thing as well is that them
Okay.
doing that with the gear
Yes.
is that the cargo synthoid is all of a sudden actually useful. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's not just going to
Mm.
drop you three
Yeah.
blues; it's actually going to drop you decent shit. And I mean, that's nice, you know. So then when we finally get to see, like, yeah, no,
No,
I'm just hoping it's actual good stuff.
me too. All right, so I guess we can now talk about champions level, the champion point system, and we could just talk about it without the talk of consumables alongside it. So we'll just kind of hyper focus in on the system itself.
Yeah.
Um, so obviously, what did you think about it? Because I know you were pretty pumped for it. To be honest, like if I remember correctly, right? You were pretty pumped for the whole system itself.
So, okay, so I like the fact that the things that I like about it is one,
Mm-hmm.
it gives me a reason to keep playing and get stronger with my time. It
Mm-hmm.
respects my time a bit more and gives me more of something to do, right?
Right.
Um, the thought process of being able to unlock all of it means that even though respec is kind of needed, it's not something that's desperate because at least in the end you can have them all. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a bit of an oversight, but like it isn't the end of the world for that stuff. So I look forward to being able to get to a point where, like, say my Hawkeye is 372, and I'd love to see how powerful he is then in missions that are like 120. You know what I mean? Like go absolutely mental and just see the
Sure.
difference and stuff
Sure.
like that. I like the thought of just being able to play and make my character stronger without needing to look for specific gear. So when you get to a point where your gear's all right and you're just playing for the sake of playing, you don't have to do that anymore. You can level up all these characters even a bit more. And especially when new content's coming around the corner, where you know you might think to yourself, "Oh, the OOT's coming out whenever. I might want to do a bit more defense." There's just a bit more to it. There's a bit more meat on the bone. It's nothing
Mm.
revolutionary. It's just you know, it's better. It's something good, something new. Um, well, new in a sense, not like you know new
Sure.
content or
Sure.
whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so that's sort of what I'm into. What I dislike, and this is what I'm afraid of, is that similar to what Heart is sort of what you said, where it was like, you know, there's no shot you're finishing this in a week and stuff like that. It's like they really is long. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like with
Yes.
XP boosters or not. So that basically forces you to pick a main. And if there's
Yes.
something that this game did really well is each of the characters. So to take that away, to force you to play one character to keep up that
Mm-hmm.
with your friends or something like that, or keep up ready for the content drops, you're kind of taking that away depending on how try harder you are. So for me, I'm going to be straight up, lads. I'm a sweat. So if I like, I want to be really high champion level one of my heroes. So when new content comes out, I can help. You know, I can either do all right at them, or I can help my friends get through them all because I
Yeah.
like doing stuff like that. But I have to now pick one of my
And
heroes, and
and
they're all 150. They're all comfortable, so it kind of takes that away a little bit, you know?
and not even that too, but this not launching alongside the Attack and Anomaly Matchmaker also means that you may not even be able to play with your friends based on whose main is who now, right?
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
that's another thing as well is that they said like, oh, it's stacked, so sorry, but just real quick. But like
Yeah.
with the champions levels, you obviously want to use the XP boosts, and if you do
Mm-hmm.
it with quick match as well, like they suggested, you might be struggling to even at the moment match make anyway.
Yeah. It just feels like
Y-
it's a little bit of oversight. You know what I mean? Like you said with the respect, it's a little bit of oversight once again, right? Cool system, but because it's not a wholesale, like just because it's like a cool system, but they've only hyper focused on the system itself and not the surrounding things that you need in order for the system to really work to the degree that you need it to work, right? The problem that I said with a respect system is that depending on if you're trying to spread out your love between characters, you may be hyper focused on certain things with the character, but then maybe you want to switch around. Well, you can't necessarily switch around, so then you got to hyper focus on one character, and then once again you're leaving your other characters out to dry, right? So like, cool system. They've seemingly not thought about it from a player perspective, and unfortunately, there's like some issues with it, you know?
yeah. Yeah, it definitely feels like it's such a weird one because I'm excited for it because it gives me more reason to play and get stronger. But when I think of it from a different perspective, more than just a player perspective,
Mm,
it's like it's okay me getting really fucking. So say for example, I'm a ranged Hawkeye, right? Quite a lot. So if I buff up my ranged, until we
mm,
get OLT release dates, until we get the really hard content drops, I'm leveling up before that content comes out. Now, I had a fear about this, but then they mentioned in one of the weekly blogs, I think it was literally the last one, that they're looking at the final fight to scale it because they know players are going to be ready. But do they know how ready we are? Do you know what I mean? Like, is the first OLT going to come out in the middle of next month, and it's going to be that case of like, oh well, it's a bit awkward that because I've already somehow maxed out all my fucking champions levels and I just killed your four abominations in like one split shot arrow, and it's
right.
because you've given me the tools already, and it's like
Yeah.
maybe that grinding stuff should have come after the fact.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's just so many things where it just seems like they thought they like it just seems like they picked up a cool system from other games, right? Elder Scrolls, Marvel Heroes. I'm blanking on another one that you Diablo. Like they like it in theory, these are very cool systems. It's just like you gotta like implement them the right way, and it just seems like the way they've implemented it is like not taking into account a lot of the other things going on within the game, and it's just like it's one of those things where it's once again it's just like one step forward, but you're also taking like one step or two steps back depending on who you ask, and it's just like it's tough, man. It's tough because as much as I am excited about the champions point system, it's just like there's so much else around it that I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, it feels like the thing is as well is that
Mm,
I mean, like, I think about Tuesday, and I
yeah.
think to myself, like, I'm excited to get stuck in with the champions levels. Then I stop being like, then I think to myself as a bit of a cynic, why? Do you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I don't
Right.
need to be ready for Redroom Takeover because
No.
it's power level 120.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm already ready. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I don't need to have that extra couple of percentages on my range points if there's no thing there yet, And it's
Right.
like I am at the minute you're leveling up your champions levels to be stronger for at the minute hypothetical OLTs that will come out when they come out.
Right. So like yeah, I mean
That's
that's
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean like it's just one of those things where it just makes you guess. It just, you got to sit here and like scratch your chin a little bit to wonder where their mindset is, right? Cuz like it's so tough because like obviously we don't have the full picture and we only have, a certain percentage of it, but like sometimes even without the full picture, we're sitting here wondering like what is going on?
Here's a less cynical way to look at it, a way that
Yeah.
like content creators don't really get a chance to look at it like this, right? So
Sure.
obviously we're a part of a community where, for the most part, people have got mental builds.
Yes.
Like they've got crazy shit, yeah. So a lot of people. So I did build videos. Obviously, June especially, does build videos. Tony Bing, etc., etc., etc.
Mhm.
So, and I have friends who don't do build videos, but they do. They want to get good gear and shit like that. So, for example, me and Sonic Photo, who doesn't do build videos and stuff, we're both playing as Hawkeye. This champions level, if I can get there before he does, means my Hawkeye is going to be stronger than his, and it's a dick measuring competition.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
essentially. Yeah.
With builds, it's always going to be a dick measuring competition, especially when it's PVE. So because you
Right.
can't do PvP, which is fine by the way, please don't add that. Different topic, I know. But I can be like, hey, look, mate, look what I managed to do. I'm champion level. I don't know, 300. Look
Yeah.
how crazy my build is now. And that's great. And that will keep me going until they release the bigger content. I know not everyone's like that, and I totally understand that.
Mhm. Mhm.
But that's why I don't look at champions levels in a sort of, what's the fucking point? Because I have a point. I know why
Sure.
I'm doing it because I want my characters to be the strongest characters that anyone has ever seen. Do you know what
Right.
I mean? Like, I want my
Right.
Iron Man to fuck up everyone's Iron Man in like visually, like, because we can't obviously fight. But so I want my Iron Man to do in Abomination way faster than yours, for example, just
Right.
because I like that sense of competition and grind and hard work.
Hmm.
To post a build video up or post a clip, and people were like, "Whoa, that looks sick!
Right.
That looks absolutely sick." And obviously, you don't have to do YouTube videos for that, because I know I do. But you can put it on Twitter, the Discord. Uh,
I mean, I guess like
because
the whole
Jake's
point
got
is
me.
like, well, I guess like the whole point is then like, you get into a match with your friends or like everyone. If you're familiar with Jon Snow, right? Jon Snow was someone who may or may not have abused certain systems in the game in order to kind of be able to like one shot bosses, right? But
Hmm.
everyone remembers like people going like, "What the fuck was that?" And like there's a certain like awe, even if you just play with like random
Exactly.
people that you do. Yeah, sure, sure.
So,
I'm also
so
not condoning
obviously,
people glitch the game, but
no, please don't. That really annoys me. But like, say for example, I jump in with Clint when I'm like,
mm,
and I'm obviously full on Hawkeye and stuff like that, and I get to the end of the message, and I'm getting like friend requests from people because they're like, "Well, shit, bro, I want to run with you." Do you know?
yeah,
And that's kind of the thing that I get out of it. And
sure.
like, am I right to reply to chat? Because I feel like
If
I want
it's
to right
pertinent
now.
to the conversation, of course.
Okay, so uh, obviously, so Derek said the
Yes.
fact that challenging each other in a PVE game is asinine, in my opinion. Who cares what you're running? That's very childish. But of course, the thing is that like, yeah, it might be a bit childish, but we're all playing a superhero game at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So like, that it's one of them things where it's like, I totally get that it is a little bit childish to be like, yeah, 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 my character's stronger, whatever. But isn't that kind of like in most of these kind of games anyway?
Well,
Like, I imagine it was the same in Marvel Heroes. I imagine it was the same in any Marvel game on mobile, fucking Diablo, shit like that. Like, I've never played those games, but to me, it's like a game where you can get stronger in.
hmm,
Surely there's always going to be a dick measuring contest there between your friends, especially if all your internet friends play this one game. So I've met all my friends through this game, right? So
sure.
like, I'll always get sent stats from my mates, or even people I talk to online who I'm not that super close with. Like, look how mental my stats are for Thor. I'm like, sick lad. Look how mental mine are, and then we'll help each other out, talk about the gear and stuff like that, and just try and get better. And that's the thing with,
Well,
and that's kind of why I see it as like,
the,
it's not competition. It's just I want to be stronger than my mate, and so they can be in awe of what I can do.
well, there's a few things, right? Obviously, like it's tough because like you look at something like this, and then you look at how people usually stack up against each other, right? So for example, like when a new raid comes out in like any of these games, like the idea is that you all go for world first, right? That's the like that's the competition people usually want. Now in a game like Diablo, for example, when it comes to their Paragon system or stuff like that, usually there's like leaderboards and stuff, right? Like that's the way usually people stack up against each other is that they introduce a system like this and it's like you race to get to the max or whatever, or Paragon just keeps going and going and going. Now without like a
Yeah.
leaderboard system, it is pretty much like you're basically like going to your friends and saying, I'm 322, you're 219, like fuck you, like you suck. Like, but I feel like if there was like a leaderboard system, then you can kind of incentivize some of that mentality, right? But other than that, like I don't view this as anything more than just like Stardust messaging me and being like, yeah, I'm fucking champion level fucking 60, like and he's messaging me like, you don't even play the game right now, like and that's where I look at that stuff. But like a leaderboard system, stuff like that could be pretty cool, like anything like that to incentivize that kind of mentality, because in a lot of ways that mentality actually works, right? Like the friendly competition between like you and your friends to like grind and to get better. I mean, that stuff works. It doesn't work on me, but I know it works because it happens in other games, right? So
Well, I think that's the thing as well, is that I obviously understand that, like, outside of my own bubble, thinking about
mm,
it completely overview, this is nothing more than stat boosts, level up. Like, I like how everyone's like, yeah, that dickhead would totally do that shit.
mm,
Like, they're
yeah,
not even wrong though. But
no, they're not.
they're not. I'm totally gonna do it, chat. I gotta
Hmm.
tell you. But anyway, sorry. I understand that all it looks like at the minute is just something to do for the something to do, right? And maybe get us a
Yes.
bit stronger at the same time. And I understand that. Totally, I'm on board. I get that completely. I
Mm.
think it's a real personal thing, and I think a lot of this game, the issues, and I say that well, unless they're like actual issues, like a bug or something real scummy, like paid consumables and shit
Sure.
like
Right.
that,
Right. 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 Right.
is like very personal to people. So same thing with, I'm sorry for bringing this up, the hair, that's
Sure.
personal.
Sure.
Stuff with cosmetics, that is a very personal thing. Stuff with is gear bad? They've said it, so they're changing it. So technically that's confirmed, but it's still opinion based. It is still opinion based if gear's bad or not. It is. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it needs to be reworked. They've said it themselves. But if you never listen to them say that, you could still say, I'm okay with how it is. Whatever. I'm not. I'd like it a bit more oomph to it. But, like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, this ties into our question like later on about like criticisms and like how do you filter out criticisms and like I mean like it's tough because like in a lot of ways I look at how do I want to say this? Um I look at things that are like very art based, right? So I look at things like skins or character designs. It's like going to like it's going to like a museum, or it's like picking up a comic book and saying you don't like the art, right? I mean, there's lots of comic
Yeah.
books that I don't like the art, but like then they change the artist or whatever. So I try to look at stuff that's like more surface level as like it's that's subjective, right? I look at situations and stuff that's more tied to numerical numbers or like the loot for example, and how the loot just doesn't feel satisfying or something like that. And then I start saying like maybe there's something there that's not just a subjective kind of thing, you know what I mean? I look at the skin, I look at the things about skins for example, and like I try to tell people just because I like a skin doesn't mean you're gonna like a skin. Doesn't mean that person's gonna like it. Doesn't mean this person's not gonna like it, right? Skins and character designs are stuff that is very much so beauty is in
Yeah.
the eye of the beholder, right? Versus like I think people can look at gear rolls and say like this gear isn't really that great. And then you start looking at everything as a whole, right? You kind of extrapolate that out, and it's just like gear doesn't feel satisfying to the character in some ways. So, but
Yeah.
it's tough. I see what you're saying though. It's like a lot of the time these things are very subjective to the person, and like the way you view things are influenced by like the people you may get your information from. Is kind of what you're saying. But I think that works for anything almost, right?
It does. No, it
Yeah.
does. It's definitely like, so obviously, so a community that I can kind of compare this one to is the same as being like a pro wrestling fan.
Sure.
So everyone hates Monday Night Raw at the moment, right? Sorry if this is, I will get to a point, I promise. So everyone hates Monday Night Raw, but everyone will go and watch it each week to see if it's done the thing they wanted that to happen with, and if it doesn't, they'll watch it next week to see if that happens. And to me, this game gives me similar vibes, where it's like some people are obviously going to like the show that's put in front of them, or like the program that's put in front of them,
Mm.
but if that don't work, then they'll just wait for the next update to see if that thing finally got added, or mention it on the next dev stream or something
Sure.
like that. And Tribal Chief, there you go. But that's where it is, mate. SmackDown. Sorry.
But
Like,
mm,
sorry. But yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, so it's very personal to the person. Whereas I can say, I like the game,
yeah.
and I don't enjoy everything in it. I mean, if you guys watch the show, you know I have shit to say.
Right.
But I think that when it comes to a lot of things, it's very much, it is still opinion based. Yes, there's a majority opinion.
Sure.
Similar with Anthem, because I just saw Anthem get mentioned. But I've got friends who love Anthem now.
Right.
And they are totally more than a call to love that game because it's
Right.
their thing,
Right.
And I think that obviously we sit here and we say, like, we could say, oh yeah, this is shit completely. Like, we both agree on it. It's shit. Everyone in chat's like, yo, this is shit. But there's
Mm.
going to be someone out there who loves gear in this game, who loves the fact that the hair on these skins isn't accurate for some reason. Do you know what I mean? Like, or something like that? Do you know what I mean? And they're going to love these things, and I think that fuck, where was my point?
It sounded like your point was like, how do you change something that a lot of people don't like, but how do you keep the people who are invested in the system as it is and feel like it's not changing too much from what they like already,
There you
right?
go. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so like
Thank you.
let me go with this question then, because Ferris Knight in the Discord asked a really good question that I feel like we're just talking about anyways. So his question was, how do you guys judge the validity of each criticism? Not saying this game is perfect, but whenever Crystal does something good and nearly 100% accurate Black Widow and Hawkeye endgame outfits, we see at least a loud and possibly large part of the community find some reason to complain / criticize it, making a big deal out of hair, which he personally thinks is beating a dead horse at this point. To me, so once again, when it comes to skins and outfits, I usually just let people say what they want to say. If you don't like it, if you do like it, totally cool. If someone doesn't like a skin that comes out, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I know, like, once again, like Stardust and I are probably gonna have very different opinions on like skins that people like. And because of that, some people are gonna like Black Widow as is. Some people are gonna want the hair changed. In that when it comes to the end game outfit specifically, an option for the hair would be very cool. If someone can have both styles of hair, that'd be very cool. When it comes to, it's tough because like when it comes to a lot of this stuff, when it comes to like end game content, when it comes to the loot specifically, I mean, I've harped on loot. When it comes to communication, which I went on earlier about communication. I mean, I just usually go with my own criticisms, and if I get into a conversation with someone that has different criticisms, I usually will give them a chance to explain it. I mean, I do it on Fridays where you guys, come on and you can talk to me about your things. I mean, I just look at everything as like the game's not perfect, and everyone's gonna have their own ideas and solutions to kind of fix this or fix that or change this or change that. So if someone out there has like a very cool idea, like I would love to talk to them about it. I'm never gonna have every answer. I'm never gonna be right. Even like 20% of the time with a lot of this stuff. But one of you guys out there is gonna have an idea that works. So when it comes to art, subjective. When it comes to stuff that's a little more tangible within like the systems within the game, I'm open to conversation, and that's how I judge it, I guess. Or it's how I look at it
I think,
anyways.
yeah, I think that basically my point as well, by saying like everyone's got sort of their own thing, is
Mm.
that I did a video again. I'm sorry, I'm self promoting, but I did a video a little bit ago on hair, right, on
Mm.
the hair situation, and you'll be surprised. I'm not saying people are wrong, by the way, for having an issue with the hair, but you'll be surprised how many people in the comments were like, whatever. Fuck it, why are you even talking about it? What are you talking about? And it's because a lot of those people aren't in the circles that we are in, so they
Mm.
don't. So it's like it is difference of opinions, and things are definitely bad.
Mm.
Things are definitely okay, but there's things that like. So if you came to me with an opinion, but it was like, what I say is fact. This game is shit. This is shit. Fuck you. I'm not gonna talk to you. You're not. You're
Oh, so you're
already
talking
off
about the way
my
the message is sent and not
the
the
way the
message
message
itself. Yeah,
is
sure,
exactly the message
sure.
itself. You can tell me you dislike this game for reason. And if you for some reason if you want to talk about it, we
Mm.
can. But like if you say this game is shit, fuck this game. I'm not really interested in having a conversation about that. Do you know what
Mm.
I mean? And it's like because we're not going to get anywhere. It's going to become an argument, and that's it.
Sure,
And
sure.
like, and that's kind of the thing.
No,
So
that's fair. That's fair. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, people just have their own opinions on it. It's a good question because, like, and a lot of the times, whenever something pops up, like even you and I today with consumables, right? I have criticism, and like for you, you're looking at my criticism saying like it's not really that big of a deal. Like it's not that deep, right? And for me, it's like it's a little deeper than I would make it seem, right? But like at the end of the day, like
yeah, no,
criticism,
yeah, no,
yeah,
that's the thing.
sure,
Yeah,
sure, yeah, of course, of
completely.
course.
Like, and I think that's the thing is that when I hear like the consumables thing, you're totally right. I think me and you both have the same idea with the end goal of if it does happen, I'm
Hmm.
out, lads. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I'm out by. But obviously, at the minute, I'm looking at what's going on now, whereas you're looking into the future, and that's
Yeah.
totally fair.
Yeah. Of course. Of course. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just kind of the way it works. So yeah, I mean, for me, I think that's a good way to wrap up that question. I mean, usually we
Yeah,
save questions for the last, but I feel like we were kind of like venturing into that territory anyways. I feel like we should have just answered it anyways.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, okay. So do you want to do Red Room Takeover?
Yes, yes, we can do. Okay,
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
cool.
So one of the interesting conversations, I know, like we don't have to rehash what Red Room Takeover is. I mean, we can. It's basically harm room challenges, right? Like a gauntlet style challenges 5 different environments within the Red Room. And you're basically going in there to complete objectives, right? So essentially, that's what it is. But there's a really interesting conversation come up. There's 2 interesting conversations that's come up because of it, right? The first, obviously, being that it's single player, right? That's one of the more interesting conversations that's come up. The second that has kind of come up was the is this new content, like what's new content, you know? um so which one of those do you want to tackle first?
I think that because of the conversation we're on at the moment, I think new content. Let's get the
Okay.
controversial stuff out of the way first.
Okay, do you think this is new content or not?
From what I've seen
Okay.
and heard,
Okay.
because I haven't played it, so it could
Yes.
literally be mission chains in a different room.
Hmm.
I like this. Feels like new content. It does. It feels like new
Okay, so
content.
just so we have a base understanding, what do you define new content as? Is new content like anything that adds a new experience to the game?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so okay, fair. All right. So I personally I don't know where I stand on this yet. To be completely honest with you, man. I actually don't know where I stand on this yet because like for me, I never really played the harm room as it is. So I don't it's one of those
It
things where it's
doesn't.
like
Yeah. Sorry.
go. No,
Sorry, I
go
was
go.
getting excited. I think the thing is if it's harm room, so literally, like how it normally is 10, but the fucking harm room's red,
Yeah.
everyone's in every right to call me dumb because it's not new at all. But to me, from what it looks like, it's 5 different harm rooms. They all kind of have. So the one we got a little gameplay of was it was literally a platform, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
around it was
The
the
techno
techno
lava.
lava that they
Yes.
mentioned. And obviously, enemies are coming at you. It's quite claustrophobic, which is why I believe they didn't actually make it multiplayer because that would be really annoying having a fucking Hulk slam in front of you while you're like
Right.
swatting about and stuff. Or like if I go to grapple onto an enemy as Widow, and
Mm,
Hawkeye goes to do it as well. He ain't getting that enemy. He's dead. Like he's jumping in the lava. He's dead. And to me, that is a new experience, and you get to unlock like loot, which is nice, and it's not something that we had played early on in the month, and I'm fine with that. Something new to play through. Happy
mm.
with it. If each one gives me a different vibe to it, so say that one with the platforms, like a horde mode style in a claustrophobic environment with techno lava. Second one, which is a bit longer, is like a mazy type escape room thing, and others obviously have like different stuff to it.
Mm.
I can see that being quite new and actually
Right.
good. I can see it being quite exciting. But again, if it's just a blanket of new shit, but inside of it, it's just no. That's the
Well, I
same
mean,
shit
like
we've been doing. Then
essentially, it's like kind of similar to like what we've done already, except they're adding the environmental hazards, you know. So
I don't
it's tough
know.
because like it's tough because I see what you're seeing and I see what the other people are seeing too. Where it's like, essentially you're still doing what you do in a normal harm room. They've added like environmental hazards, you know. It's one of those really tough things, man. It's really tough because like it's tough because oh, here we go. Wouldn't the techno lava be completely different if you're a flying character? So I'm pretty sure that even with the walls itself, you're not supposed to touch the walls, I think. They've said specifically in the meeting on Wednesday, they said specifically that flying characters will have a harder time than non-flying characters. So
I think yeah, because if you're
mm,
like, say I'm playing as Iron Man and I'm trying to like hit people in the sky and stuff, it takes like one big bullet to just make me go down and die.
yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man, because like I see both sides in this one where it's like it's something new, it's like it's a new experience, but there's also side saying it's still a harm room, and it's like depending on how you spice up a harm room, it's still, at the end of the day, like a harm room. Like, I would love to see how many people are still playing custom harm rooms, for such a feature people wanted. I wonder what the player engagement of that is at, you know?
The photos I've seen of it genuinely look like there's some meat here rather than just a harm room. Like, I
Sure.
get what people are saying that, they probably could do a bit more to spice it up a little bit. But for
Mm,
me, when I look at the screenshots, I don't see a harm room. Harm rooms to me are like it's different like layout. There's all these techno lava
mm,
hazards. The rewards are way better than we get in normal harm rooms and shit like that. You
sure.
know what I mean? It's got this like different feel to it. I just think that saying it's not new, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
For me, it classes as something new to play. I like the
sure.
look of it. I'm excited for it, and I think that if it's because it's something new to play, I could still fun in it
Yeah,
and call it new content.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I think basically it definitely depends on how you look at things, I guess, right? Like, I see both sides. I mean, I see people who are excited for something new and new to do, but I also see the point of people who are trying to say it's still just a harm room, right? And it's like both sides are valid, like, going back to the validity of each criticism, or whoever says it. I mean, like, both of those sides I think are valid in their assessment. Um, but I mean, it's going to be tough, because what is it? It's five harm rooms, submission chains, and it's like, is like 11 days too long for that? What do you think? Is 11 days too long for the amount of things that are coming with this?
So it starts. When does it start? On the 20th
20th,
and
yes,
ends on the
yes.
30th. I heard.
31st, 31st. So that'd be the Monday.
Okay. Well, I think that like because I don't know. I think that's all right. To be
So
honest,
you
I
you
think
look
that's
you look
okay.
at that. So okay, all right. Um,
Especially if it's grindable. If I can play it more than once, which
hmm.
I hope you can, then yeah, I think that's all right.
So then basically it becomes about using it for the XP associated with it, then, right?
Yeah, yeah. After the first time,
Okay.
after you get all the glitz and glamour of what it looks like and stuff like that, I think that seeing and especially if I can replay it for the XP and stuff, it becomes like a decent thing. And again, I think Champions level definitely helped this out a lot because without it, that would have been kind of arse. But like, yeah, man,
Hmm.
I'm just it's
Sure.
sometimes this is an entirely personal conversation, but like
Yes.
sometimes I find it really difficult to have to sort of because when we have these conversations and we have it in front of everyone, it sometimes feels like I just really like the idea of playing this content without having to say like
To like
it's having to defend it, if you know what I
justify
mean.
it, sure, yeah. Well, here's a
Yeah,
good point then. Here's a good point because Rashawn says it's definitely new content. The question is, how good is the content? How much does it differ from what's already implemented into the game? That's a
there
fair
you go.
assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
That's
great
a,
way to
that's a,
put it.
that's a really good. If
Mm.
I wish you know what, Rashawn, take my place. Like just fucking hell,
I
honestly,
mean,
I've
I
been
mean, like,
sat
yeah,
here
that's
rambling. It's like
well, I
that's
mean,
the way it is.
yeah, I mean, if it comes out, like, I think the problem with right now is that the Ruskaya protocols have been such a downer, right? That people are just kind of in a down mood. You know what I mean? Like, people just naturally feel down because of what the Ruskaya protocols is. And just to clarify, they never mentioned on Friday about the chips, right?
No, no,
Oh,
definitely not.
Jesus Christ. And so it's like stuff like that, right? It's like stuff like that it impacts people, and then people are like naturally a little more pessimistic towards like what could be something that's a lot of fun, and I think and
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
kind of where it is. It's like you get beat up only so many times, and then it's just like you're naturally expecting to get beat up,
I think that again, and this entire stream has just been me going. In personal point, it's like how positive of a person are you? Do you know what I mean? How much hope you got?
Mm, sure.
How much in the tank have you got? And if you're someone who does feel better, which by the way you're more than fair. I fucking thought Ruth Scale was shit. I did not like it at all.
Right.
And But like for me, I bounce from those things really quickly, and I'm
Mm,
like, yeah, what's on to the next thing? Do you know what I mean? Even though my
sure.
opinion might be negative of that, doesn't mean I'm gonna go into the
Your
next thing
outlook is more
thinking,
sure. Yeah, of course, of course.
yeah, it's more like I'll take each thing as it comes. That's why me and you probably have a
Mm,
different outlook on the consumables, because it's like, well, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Do you know what I
sure.
mean?
Yep.
So whereas like for you, for example, or others, they may think Rescale's shit. I don't know if Redroom's going to be much or Cosmic Cube and stuff like that. Whereas I'm like, we'll just get there when we get there, you know. And I think that's
True.
it.
True. I mean, like, I see what you're saying. You know, because in some ways, like, in a lot of ways, I see exactly what you're saying because I'm definitely that same way. But part of me wonders, for a lot of people out there, a lot of the times I talk to people or get tweets or in my comment section, it's like people definitely I get the vibe people are just feel like they're just getting beaten over and over again, and it's like for them they don't want to get too excited about something because if they get too excited about something, the inevitable drop to them feels like it's only going to be worse.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I totally think like understand where people have been like beat up by this game so much that like
Mm-hmm.
the only thing they can think of is it's going to be shit until it's not, guilty until proven innocent sort of
Sure.
situation.
Sure.
Whereas for me, it's like we'll see if it's bad when it's out. You know what I mean? And I could obviously make so say when they release the trailer, which I'd imagine will be Monday, tomorrow. Actually, I'd like to imagine,
Mm-hmm.
and they show off a bit more gameplay of it. If it looks like arse, then yeah, I'm going to be a bit like, oh, got him, but I'll still play it and make my own assumption there. But I'll go in with a certain expectation. Whereas at the minute,
Right.
my expectation is so perfectly down the middle that I don't think I can tell you whether or not I'm excited for it or not. Because like I am, but at the same time, I've got my finger on the pulse, ready to like say that was a bit boring, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Because
Right.
I have
Right.
no idea.
Right. No, I hear you. One of the things Rogue is in here, and I know he brought this up, and one of the things I was not surprised about, but disappointed nonetheless, was that there's no mention of like an Elena appearance, no voice line of Elena. Like it just feels like it's another missed opportunity. And this is something you were wanting as well, correct?
Mate, I'm gonna say this now. That's dog
Yes.
shit that's not a thing. Fuck that. Like that's no. Okay. I know I've just
You
literally
want you
gone
want
proper
you
positive.
you want the runway here? I'll give you the runway,
Yeah,
dude. How about
please,
it?
please,
Yeah, go for it.
please, man. So basically, before this had come out, I was saying to, I think I said it to you actually, that
Hmm.
Yelena could have hacked the harm room. We could be fighting evil versions of the Avengers, or we could fight Yelena after
Hmm.
we do these challenges to like get her to come out of wherever she is. No, fuck that. Like, and I'm like, no, this is literally what you're setting up towards. Is she just a
Hmm.
piece of text? What do you mean? Don't mention her then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the description for the Ruskaya protocol, it's like, oh, these all lead to a place in Siberia. And we know we have the tundra in Siberia. They used it in Kate's campaign, Snowy Tundra.
Hmm.
Yelena boss fight in Snowy Tundra. That's what that sounds like to me. No, no, they
Yeah.
didn't do that. So why fucking bother? If there's no red glimpse on these robots, why not do like Missing Scorson and just say it's an AIM thing?
Hmm.
They're trying to torture Black Widow. You know, like
Yeah.
why bother? And why
No.
tickle the pickle like that?
And I mean, I think that's where I wonder if that's where a lot of disappointment comes from, right? Is like this is a homage
Possibly,
to
yeah.
Black Widow. Like they wanted this to tie in with the movie. It's like this movie is so focused on the relationship with Black Widow and her family, and there's no family to be seen there, no Yelena to be seen there. It's like I agree. It's like
The families
what
with the Avengers.
well, well, it's just like it's just it's one of those things where it's just like they could have narratively set this up differently, or even had it a mystery. If you didn't want the expectation or people to be, or people to think that Yelena could show up, then just don't say anything, leave it a mystery, and then like come later on down the line, and Lena can like be like, you remember the Red Room? It was me, like or something like that. But instead, it's like, oh, Yelena's doing this, Yelena's doing that. It's like, will we even see Yelena? Will we even hear Yelena? Well, no. And it's like, well, why? And that's coming
Why?
Thursday.
Why bother then? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it's once again they're just fucking shooting themselves in the fucking foot for no reason. Like it's tough, man. It's tough
Uh,
because no matter what people get on Thursday, right? No matter what people get on Thursday, right? Thursday could be a lot of great things tied together, right? Thursday could be absolutely amazing. But the problem is, people are always going to want. It's like the what if question, right? What if Yelena was in here? What if Yelena had an appearance or a voice line or this or that, right? And it's just because they set it up in such a way that like people will obviously want such a thing, and then they just don't deliver for whatever reason, right? Like, I granted this probably would have sucked, but just fucking you just make it Black Widow. Just let us fight Black Widow. Give her a do over. Make it Yelena. Call it Yelena, and it's basically fucking just do it. You know, like it's just at some point you just gotta like, you know, not
Can
fucking
I
shoot
be
yourself in the
honest?
foot. Yeah.
When we were talking about Red Room and I was giving it, I actually forgot about all the Elena tie into it, which is mental because of the name of it, right? Which is
Yeah.
a problem. It's the
Yeah.
like you advertise it as Yelena's doing this, Yelena's done that, and I
Mm.
forget she was even involved in the setup of it, and it's
Yeah.
called Red Room Take. That's fucking bad, and you know,
Mm.
like, and that shouldn't be what happens if it's another Loki situation where it's like you get that tickle but you don't see him for like years. What's the point? Don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, because all you're doing is getting people banging on your window like, where's Loki, where's Yelena, what the fuck you doing? And
Well,
they're right to do that because it's like it's like advertising the PS6 and not releasing it until 20 years down the road. We've got here it is but not, and it's anus.
well, you know what? It's funny. It's funny you actually bring that up because they talk so much about their stories being comic books, right? Like comic book, comic book, comic book, comic book, right? Um, and I wonder in a lot of ways if what they're doing is trying to set it up like a comic book, right? So for people who don't read comic books, usually in like your first volume or whatever, there's a lot of things that are set up, right? And eventually, long down the road, those things will pay off, you know. But the difference between the work being done in a comic book and the work done in a video game is that I don't have to wait potentially years for a payoff, right? Um, it's just one of those things where it's just like I think they focus so much on setting so many different storylines up that like they're not focused on like this in the future or this in like the immediate future, right? It's just like the Loki thing is like very annoying too because like they didn't have to do anything with Loki until like they were ready for an Asgard thing, right? It's a tease for no reason, right?
Well, and that's the thing as well, is that a lot of the story in this game doesn't feel like it's been satisfied. Like, for example, the actual main campaign didn't feel satisfying because we didn't get rid of Monica because she's still around. That's okay, that's fine. That leads into other stuff. But then the Maestro sort of
Mm.
little plot twist, don't feel satisfied at all about that one. This Yelena thing, nope. Loki, nope. And it's like, I it's just a difficult thing because yeah, they could do it one day,
Mm.
but they've you've got to sort of give us a little bit of satisfaction and a little bit of an end to it so that we don't have to keep thinking to ourselves, yeah, but when are they going to go back to that? When are they going to go back to that? Like, you've got to give us an update, even in a narrative sense. Like, did Thor just not tell the rest of the Avengers about Loki? Did they not
Right.
give a shit?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the deal there? He never went back to Asgard, as far as we know. So he's just out there, out and about as Thor.
Yeah.
Does he not give a shit anymore? Like, and it's the same sort of with Yelena. It's like, we're gonna do this Red Room, and then what? That
Yep.
it? Like,
And
is she just
it's
gonna
just like
let her
that's
go?
that's why it frustrated me a little bit. It was like 3 weeks ago. Phil was on stream, and he frustrated me a little bit with saying like this is gonna tie into future content. It's like it's just like why bother, you know? Like, and that's the thing. It's just like why bother, you know? Like don't tease a character that we're not gonna get to see, and then say she's coming later. Just don't even use the character at that point, you know? Like there's people out there who are probably legitimate fans of Elena, and they're gonna get fucking robbed on Thursday. I don't like they probably don't even know, and they're gonna
Mm,
get robbed
yeah,
on
that's
Thursday.
exactly it. Yeah.
You know, just like any people who are fans of Loki, you didn't even get to see Loki. You got to see Alt Thor, like, and those fans were robbed of that experience too. It's just like it's one of those things where it's just like just don't use these characters unless you know there's something coming in the immediate future to kind of give a payoff, right? Like I like unless you know year two we get some crazy Asgard expansion, right? And it's just like okay, cool, but it's just like you know you just don't use characters unless there's you know something coming in the future that is really gonna you know be a payoff for these characters.
It's not a good payoff as well if you don't build up to it
Sure.
and keep doing so. So we
Mm.
spoke about Ultron the other week, right? The
Yes.
Roy little slight build up is
Yes.
good. It's
Yes.
continuous. It's often. I like it. We always get. We literally buy gear from Roy. We can see his different personalities develop in the different outposts. We kind of
Mm-hmm.
get the sense. He got put into Future Imperfect with the Wasteland. As the Jarvis replacement
Sure.
lit, and so they can do it. They can fucking do, but they've just decided like, okay, we can't find a voice actor for Loki. Let's not keep going down that plot thread, and let's not go down the Yelena plot threads afterwards because they'll just forget and they'll move on. And then when
Yeah.
they finally can find a voice actor, they'll be like, ha, surprise, fucking big
Yeah.
expansion thing, and it's like, come on, man, like we're not satisfied. You've got to build these things up. If you're gonna do that, don't go start end.
Yep.
That's not how stories work. So you have to kind of sprinkle it in elsewhere. But how can you do that when you're trying to set up the Kree invasion? So don't keep setting up plot threads. Finish
Mm-hmm.
your big one, and then when the Avengers got some downtime from saving the universe from what it is in the future, then you can start doing these extra little bits. Plant the
Right.
seed for Ultron. Let us fuck up Elena for a bit and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't have to be so everything's going on at once.
True. True. Just a quick question here from Missy Score. He says, "Do you think the game could benefit from an email or log system? Just have Widow get an email or letter from Yelena she can access in her room." Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, anything like that, just tie it in somehow. Like, just the fact that like there's going to be no tie-in whatsoever to the character itself, even though the character is supposedly behind everything that's happening, just to me feels like just an excuse to name drop a character that gets people excited. That's all it is to me. I don't know if you feel the same or less intense, more intense, but to me it just feels like let's name drop a character that people are going to be very familiar with because of the movie, and that's it. you know
I'm hoping this is literally like best case scenario. So I
mm,
keep saying that they do mention that like our Siberia, tundra in Siberia. They mention that with Kate's thing. Is it possible that maybe the end of Red Room they do a little thing where you can go to tundra, maybe pick up a little clue and not maybe see Yelena, but there's a little plot thread you pick up, like you go into where she was doing all this shit in a little base, and there's like sprinkles of Easter eggs and potential content, or am I being a bit too fucking crazy?
I think you're being a bit too crazy. I'm not like I don't want to like shit on
I
your I don't want to shit on your dreams. That to me just sounds a little bit too crazy though, based on like I mean eventually one day they will do something that's totally nuts, but to me just based on everything that we know about both publicly and what was said privately, which pretty much turned out everything was publicly said. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, no, no.
Fuck, man. It's like, because they've set it up. Because obviously in the Kate DLC, they're on about in Siberia. Yeah, so we
Yeah,
tundra in Siberia, and they've obviously, and this is obviously what they mentioned where the Ruskaya things are coming from. So to not kind of incorporate the place that you have already, and not sort of like tease it a bit more. Like you do a mission and at the end of it is just a fucking ballerina music box and stuff like that. Like, come on,
yeah.
man.
I mean
Do
like
do something. Just
yeah.
something.
I,
That's literally bare minimum as well. Do you know? Because
mm,
they could reskin a fucking. I don't do this because people get angry. But like low case scenario, you could reskin a villain sector in the fucking tundra. In the end, just be like an ambush where you hear like some sort of ballerina music box, and then she fucks off.
but that still would
Like
have been something more, right? Like that's
I
still
would
like
love it, man.
yeah, that like I hear what you're saying. People probably would be upset with that, but like still that's better than what we're getting now, and
Yeah.
that's and it's tough, man. It's tough because I just don't want to see them name drop characters just for the fact that they can name drop them, and that's what it's felt like with specifically Loki and now Yelena. Personally, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I think that it's like it's definitely something that would have been a big improvement.
Hmm.
I mean, it kind of feels like unless they do some loophole from what they told everyone, then that's it.
True. All right, let's. What do you feel like knowing everything now and how you feel? Are you still excited for Thursday, or expectations kind of tempered? Like, where do you stand on Thursday?
I think it definitely dropped a bit when there was no Yelena
Mm,
boss or something like that. But from the little gameplay we've shown and stuff like that, from the fact that the idea is you've got to be very fucking careful because Techno Lava one shots you and that, you can't fall in and stuff like
mm.
that. And obviously, flying characters quite immune. You have to grapple to get to like each side and stuff. You can be totally like fucked. It
Yeah.
just there's an exciting awe to it to see what it's going to end up being.
Mm.
But because it isn't what I wanted it to be as well. There's a bit of a downer about it. That's why I said I'm
Sure.
really in the middle. Because what they could have can still be really great, but what they should have done, do you know what I mean? From what they've said,
Right.
and the fact it's not going to happen is a bit of a killer. It's like
Sure.
I'm on both sides of the fence, really.
Yeah, it totally depends on the execution of what you get on Thursday.
Exactly, yeah.
No, that's fair. I think that's where I am at too, to be honest with you. I think more so even when I saw it on Wednesday, I was like, yeah, okay, like this looks cool. But like seeing it and playing it at this point are like two different things, right? Like um in similar sense, seeing the Maestro fight, remember the press footage came out and I was like, okay, like this looks okay. And then I played the Maestro fight and I was a lot more excited for playing the Maestro fight than what I was on it. So in similar vein, I was like, okay, with this, seeing the Red Room stuff, and it could turn out really good, or maybe my met expectation is way too high based on what I saw. But I think that's where I'm at now. Is like I just got to start playing stuff instead of like watching footage. Because at the end of the day, any sort of footage
Yeah,
they
I think
show is cut in such a way that makes it look great. That's just the way these things are. So like, it could be cut in such a way that makes it look better, or it could be cut in such a way that actually makes it look more dog shit, and it's actually going to be so good.
kind of just need a way really to like when this trailer comes out, which I'm assuming be tomorrow, is just to have a little breakdown
Sure,
of it and stuff like. I know they said in the blog for it like we're not going to spoil what the harm room is, but I mean like, you can show off the different layouts. Fuck it, why
sure,
not? You
yeah,
just have to play them. Do you know what I mean? Like, so why
right.
not?
Yeah, I mean I think that's the one thing too is like looking at the layouts. Like how different are the layouts? Did they mention anything about platforming in the stream on
They
Friday?
did. They did. They
Okay,
did.
they
Yeah, they
mentioned
mentioned. So,
platforming. Yeah.
so they mentioned it a good bit as well. That even in the blog here, that you have to be like evasive super spy. You know what I mean, and get like past some shit. So they they said here multiple hack time rooms be available during this event. Mission
Hmm.
chains. These hack time rooms are single player only, as they require agility and a keen sense of one's surroundings that may be interrupted by having a team. So
Hmm.
obviously, just judging by the photos alone,
Right.
where like it seems to be the case. So obviously so I am just talking about the ones that are on this blog thing. So if you guys, because I can't show it obviously, but there's the Kamala photo, when she's doing the takedown.
Yep.
That's clearly in the one they showed on the dev stream, the
Hmm.
platform. And then you got one where it looks like a sort of mazy area where there's like a big old room with pillars and stuff like that. And then you've got like this massive fucking door, which is
Hmm.
kind of cool. And I'm thinking that's an escape room type one, but maybe that's just me getting a bit like getting a bit
Sure.
overthinking it, maybe.
I don't
And
know.
yeah, I'm just interested.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think that's it, man, for the three things that I guess we had to talk about today. I don't know. Is there anything that you specifically wanted to talk about this week?
I don't know, man. I don't think so. Like,
No.
I think I'm all right. Oh, did you hear that Spider-Man was coming out in 2021?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to get into this? Do you want to do this conversation? We could do this conversation. I am like, here's the thing. Okay, so like, was it 2 weeks ago? Jazzy came on, and he asked me some Spider-Man stuff, and I was kind of short with Jazzy. And my shortness with Jazzy wasn't to him specifically. It was more so the fact that the Spider-Man bullshit is like it's getting to the point now where it's just like nut up or shut up. Like I'm sorry. Like I don't want to hear about his cool animations. I don't want to hear about his fucking cool outfits. I don't want to hear that he's coming out in 2021. All right, nut up or fucking shut up with Spider-Man, because at this point I'm getting sick of this fucking blue ball that's been going on for months and months and months and months. And I understand it's not Crystal. Okay, I understand like there's probably marketing things that are tied into him or whatever, right? So my anger or my upsetness isn't with Crystal specifically, But at this point, don't answer any questions about Spider-Man. Ignore questions about Spider-Man. Don't talk about Spider-Man, because at this point, unless Spider-Man is going to be revealed next month, I just don't care about him, because I'm so sick of hearing these small little bits of information about a character that people already fucking feel disjointed about. It's just, don't talk about him. Don't fucking talk about him. Just shut your fucking mouth and don't talk about Spider-Man, please, because this is getting to the point now where it's just so fucking stupid. Please. That's all I gotta say.
So by the way, for people who like were a bit worried, then I made this joke before the stream, so it wasn't like aimed at me.
No, it's just no, yeah, no, it's just like I'm
No.
just so tired of these Spider-Man teases, right? We have no idea how far along in the pipeline he is, right? We have no idea what he's coming with in this full scope of what he's coming with. We have literally no idea when in 2021 he's coming with. Granted, I'm not going to take to heart the magazine that said January. I'm not going to take to heart the game UK retailer that said March, right? But the fact of the matter is, we're getting into June and we have no idea where this fucking guy is. Like, say something. Anything that's like, he's got cool animations. I don't care. Give me something that makes people care, you know?
That is really tickling the nutsack.
It
really
is.
is.
It
Like,
is.
That's blue balling. That's kissing the tip and saying April Fools to like. And the thing is, it's getting to a point now, and I said this off stream as well, where people are over the exclusivity. People on different systems are like, "Yo, where is Spider-Man? You told these boys over here he was coming out this year.
Right.
We fucking not heard anything." And that's crazy to me. The fact that people on Xbox who can't even get to use him are like, "You guys said 2021, where is he?" And it's like, fucking, you know, when shit's kind of getting a bit crazy with that. And it's like, yeah, we get you still working on him. Yeah, I get you can't probably fucking announce it yourself. We totally understand that.
Right,
But
right.
like,
That's
give
what
us. Don't say anything, like you said. Don't say anything at all, and just let PlayStation cover it, because it's going to be them that are probably going to release the trailer.
Yep.
So just fucking don't bother, because
Yep.
all it does, all saying good animation does, and all saying good costumes does, is hype up people for a character that may not even be out till fucking December. And if it is December, that's ridiculous. That is the worst coming out in 2021 shit I've ever heard in my entire life. That is literally giving in an exam paper the final minute before it closes and you can't send it in anymore. Don't take the piss. Like,
it's gonna be December, man. I don't see him coming with Black Panther. I really don't. Now, granted, here's my theory. If you see him next month with E3, then yeah, Black Panther, it'll probably be a Black Panther release. If you don't see him alongside E3 coverage, that man's coming out alongside No Way Home, and you guys better start getting the salt trucks ready, because that shit's about to be real salty. It's brutal,
yeah,
man.
because the thing is, they said, sorry to cut you off real quick.
You're
they
good.
said
You're
on
good.
the article for it that it's an event that they're gonna do, and obviously the Black Widow bullshit tie-in thing they're doing here, even though it's not really. They're gonna do the mention that as for December as well. But then what the fuck do the other consoles do? Spider-Man gets a big celebration for his film on PlayStation, and everyone else gets shafted. It just doesn't make sense to me to be that stupid. But it might happen, because again,
it just I just rather them ignore the questions on Fridays about Spider-Man and just say, like, we can't talk about Spider-Man. Just say that. Like, just don't even say anything. Just, don't even read those questions. I think at this point, just don't talk about a character that, like, understandably, there's a process in place for, like, Black Panther, for example, right? We'll hear more about Black Panther next month, probably because of E3, and then probably in July and August, we'll hear more about him as it ramps up, right? Like, they're methodically going through their roadmap and talking about things that are more immediate instead of things that are more far off in the future, right? So, like, for this, I don't feel the same about Black Panther, because Black Panther, I know when I'm probably going to hear more about Black Panther. I don't know when I'm going to hear more about Spider-Man, and that's the frustrating thing. Is that, like, it's so, like, everything to do with him is just so frustrating. I don't know. The Spider-Man thing actually makes me, like, very upset with the way it's been handled, and, like, not even, like, from the fact of, like, development standpoint, it's just the communication standpoint about Spider-Man. That's where I'm more frustrated about, like. And like I said, I know if Jazzy's here, like, when Jazzy brought up, like, the cool animations and costumes with Spider-Man, and I said, like, I don't care, it's not because I don't care about Spider-Man, it's just I don't care about hearing these small little teases that ultimately tell me nothing about where the character is, and that's where I'm at.
Well, I mean, when before Black Panther was shown in the roadmap trailer,
Hmm.
anytime anything Black Panther related, or anytime they tried to completely avoid the Black Panther thing, it was like
Mm.
it was so annoying because it's like we know, lads, we know, we
Yeah.
know. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like,
Right.
you just, I get it. It's got to wait for Square Enix, but it's like
Yeah.
it's still annoying. And I know there's nothing they could have done about that, but with Spider-Man, it's like we know he's coming. There
Mm.
isn't, so like it's doing the same thing again, except this time you are saying Spider-Man's, he's got cool shit.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that about Black Panther.
Right. Right.
So it's yeah, no, it's crazy.
Sure. Sure. Um. Hold on. Rogue asked a question here, so we'll just do. I guess we could do like a few questions here.
Yeah.
So we'll just do Rogue because Rogue actually put it in the Discord. Do you guys think joint in progress is a must for patrol mode? Um, I think they've confirmed that no joint in progress at the start, right? Phil has confirmed that. I'm pretty sure he has, right? Um, do I think it's a must? I think it's a must eventually. I understand at the start they're like I think Phil said he's gonna do a blog post where it's like patrol mode now versus patrol mode in the future. So like so like if patrol mode isn't in it now, totally I guess I understand that like there's only so many things you can throw in at once to make this to get this thing out. But if join in mode or join in progress isn't out on the patrol mode in the future blog post, yeah, I think that's where people are going to be very upset. So yeah, I mean, like I think it'd be nice to have. I don't know. I guess based on every other game I've played, I would say it's probably needed. Yeah. So for me, yeah, it like I
I
understand it's
don't
not
think
going to.
this is going to be the same sort of, yeah.
No.
Sorry,
Oh,
sorry,
sorry. No,
I
you don't think it's
spoke
going to
in
be
there.
same sort of what?
Patrol mode as like other games. So obviously in stuff like Marvel Heroes and stuff, it's like you drop in, you're just chilling out with everyone and stuff like that. Whereas this is going to be literally like a
Oh,
mission. So we go Quinjet, 4 players. So me, you, 2 others, get in, load up, press the mission. We go big open space, never-ending war zone. That's what it is in my
oh,
head.
you
Like
think the way it's being designed has two different intent, like two different purposes, you know?
so.
Hmm.
I think how we're gonna get to it is it's not like you spawn in and you fucking run about and your mate can join you halfway
Sure.
through. I think it's literally like go in to like a normal mission, spawn in, drop, go to where you do the assignments, assuming it's got its own little area. Fuck, I hope so. Get your assignments, go and run off, have fun, and then when you want to leave the mission, you just back out like Return to Quinjet. That's genuinely what I think.
Well, they said you can just stay in there for hours and just be in there for hours, right? It
No,
would
you
really,
can. No, like that's what I mean.
yeah.
Like, but I mean, just like when you want to get out, when you're done playing, essentially in this eh, patrol mode mission thing, then you just return to Quinjet. See you in a
It's so
bit.
tough because like I would love join in progress to work across like the whole game, you know? So like I can just load into a match and someone can just join in on me. Say for example, like you quick match and like it could throw you into an already going game. Like I would love for that to work. So like even like so I see what you're saying, but I think join in progress is something that I would love to see just all around the game
Oh
itself.
yeah,
Except
yeah.
except for I guess maybe like OLTs cuz like I feel like that, OLTs you should be
Kind
good
of
to go at the
cheating a
start.
bit.
Yeah, sure. But I think for everything else, I think that for me, joint in progress should be something that they figure out, you know. But like once again,
Yeah,
like if it's not in the now portion of the patrol mode, I get it, but it has to be in the patrol mode in the future, you know.
yeah. No, I understand that, and the thing is, I agree. I think it should be something that the whole game has, rather than just a patrol mode specific
Mm-hmm.
thing. Um, Gabarino put in the old chat. I think patrol will have an extraction zone instead of just return to Quinjet. Probably that instead.
Yeah,
I
I mean
mean, obviously you
they
can just
introduced. Well, I was gonna say they introduced that right with the
yeah.
So I mean, it's possible. Yeah, I definitely think they're like join in progress is something that is definitely needed across the board. So if the excuse is that like they need to work it out with the rest of their content, then sure, go for it. But I think it's something that I think a lot of people have been asking for that, to be honest with you, right? Like say for example, like
Yeah.
you like disconnect and you want to join in with your buddy to get back in your mission or whatever, like I definitely think they should figure it out. So okay, one more question here. from Caged in the Discord. He says, "Do you think they should hold off on She-Hulk or release her as fast as possible? Granted, if whatever hero is next is already in the canon getting worked on, but if you were Marvel and in SC shoes, what would you do?" So I guess the idea is like, um, based on the reception around Gamma Monsters, would you release She-Hulk as like the next character, or would you hold off and release a different type of character so you're not releasing what is again a Gamma Monster, essentially? Even though I know like there's conversation and like She-Hulk is not a like She-Hulk is more there than technically Hulk does and whatever, like essentially the optics of it is it's another Hulk type hero.
Yeah, I get that. I totally understand that. I think
Mm,
that. I mean, I think it's a different thing to play as a Gamma Monster than be against a Gamma Monster.
sure.
Like, like from the sort of miniature leaks we've heard and stuff like that, she's not going to be fucking savage She-Hulk, and
Right, right,
so she's going to have a different kind of fighting style than Hulk.
right.
But obviously, I do understand that. Like, say she was the next one after Panther, right?
Mm,
I think people would probably roll their eyes a little bit and just go, just call this the fucking Hulk game,
right.
because where the people, do you know, like, come
Yeah.
on. And that's why I'd like to assume they'd just go a completely different route and probably make someone like Bucky next, or
Yes.
someone like that. So I think that's probably what they'd end up doing anyway. But
Mm.
if She-Hulk was kind of on the table net for the next character, I wouldn't be against it too much.
Yep. Yep. I think the one thing when I look at She-Hulk, for example, it's like you take like kind of the raw strength of like what Hulk provides, but she's a little more agile, I think. So like you almost are blending like Hulk and Black Widow in characters, whereas like she's not as agile as Black Widow, not as crazy strong, so you don't get some of probably the bigger abilities that Hulk does, but you kind of merge these two together and you probably will end up with like a pretty fun character, all things considered. Gavarino says, seems She-Hulk is gonna have Red Hulk as a boss battle. I don't think people would take issue with She-Hulk, but they'll definitely take issue with Red Hulk. I mean, that's a good point too, right? If like, say for example, She-Hulk is a character, you understand that people won't hate She-Hulk herself, but the boss that you're putting with She-Hulk is going to cause a lot of people to be upset. You're probably better off just shelving the whole thing until like a later time and just taking the hit maybe in your timeline and putting out Bucky with whoever Bucky's going to come out with, like um if you release She-Hulk with Red Hulk, people are just going to be upset. So I think you got to be very sensitive, and I think they are, right, with the Taskmaster being cut from Future Imperfect. I think they are sensitive to the complaints that people have within the community. But I don't know how that would go with their narrative approach that they're going, like does She-Hulk have to come out before Bucky for their narrative, or can they swap them around interchangeably and not have to worry about that? And I think that's the big thing, because like we've seen when they've cut content out and narrative content, because like the Taskmaster just kind of disappears, you know.
I was about to
That,
say, I thought that was dumb as fuck. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to be horrible when I say this, but like, I understand that the public
Mm,
reception was, oh, yeah, fuck Taskmaster. But the
sure.
idea they had instead would have been way more satisfying than him just vanishing. And it's kind of
Sure.
like, why have him in there at all in the first
Mm.
place if you're not going to finish what you started? You know what I
Well,
mean? You already know people are going to roll their eyes at Taskmaster being there at all, so you
right.
might as well give a satisfying payoff than just him vanishing into the stars. You know,
Well,
like,
I guess the problem is like I guess the problem is that they were not expecting the reception that, well, there's a few things, right? I would imagine like there's the obvious one is they didn't think this content would last as long as it had to, right? That's the obvious one. But I don't think they also expected the heat to go on Taskmaster like it did. So they built out Future Imperfect with Taskmaster in mind, and then months later, as they're working on it, they're like, oh shit, people fucking hate Taskmaster. And then it's like, oh, what do we do? It's like, well, you're too far in to like rework the story. So like, what do? You just cut out that part. And it's just like, like in that way, in that case, like they were sensitive to our complaints about it, and but it's definitely like,
I think it was. I think it. Like, I understand the reasoning. I just think the
mm,
like execution was really bad. Like,
oh
you should have
sure,
probably just. You should have just stuck with your guns and just done it. To be honest, that's my, because I like the idea that they had where, like, it was some sort of shock arrow to the fucking face of Taskmasters, like, and
mm,
it's old man Clint that does it, and I think that would have been actually all right, because It's just better. It was better than what ended up happening when we just fought a bunch of robots and he disappeared.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
why did he not show up again? That makes
yeah.
no sense.
I wonder if like the best approach to that would have been like, hey guys, this will be like the last time you fight Taskmaster, or for like, this will be the last time Taskmaster shows up in like a new
Yeah,
DLC, like something like that. Yeah, instead of
yeah,
like
like
just straight up.
because by the sounds of it, he dies. Like that
That's
arrow
what it sounded
kills
like.
him.
Yeah, like it
So,
sounded like,
so
yeah,
yeah. So like, why not have done that? People would have been like, yeah, he's fucking dead. Like it would
yeah.
have probably gotten like a better reaction than just him vanishing. Because now
Hmm.
they can logically just bring him back,
Yeah.
which is
I mean,
annoying.
yeah. I mean, I don't think they will though.
They
I think,
won't, but
yeah,
there's the fear's always going to be there of like, oh,
right.
they still have him there, you know.
Sure, sure. No, that's fair. That's fair. Um, all right, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. No one ever really
Yeah.
dies. Well, Neth, that's not true. Uncle Ben, right? Uncle Ben really dies. Who else really dies? Uncle Ben, Batman's parents? No, well, not technically. Batman's parents still are alive, I guess, in some way.
Tony's
Um,
parents.
Tony's parents. Tony. Wait, you say
Uh,
Tony's parents?
Tony's
Oh,
parents.
oh, Gwen. Yeah, well, Gwen got revived too. Oh, I meant in the game. Oh, true,
Gw-
true, true, true. Oh, we're talking game. We're talking game. Yeah,
Ah.
we're talking game. Sorry, I was
Oh,
going with
right.
the
Well,
with the overall comic approach of like no one really dies. There's maybe like three characters I think that only. I guess like if you're not talking what if stories, because if you're talking what if stories, then everyone comes back
well,
eventually. You know.
yeah, like there's a very grey line in there. There's very specific. Like Tony's parents are still dead in this universe.
True.
There you
True.
go.
Yeah, that's true.
There
You're
you
not
go.
wrong. You're not wrong.
Can't There you go.
All right, I
We
think
don't
we
know
have one.
we don't know what's happened with Pepper. She could be dead for all we know.
Well, damn, dude.
We won't talk about her. Yeah, shit, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is crazy. I think we're just
Yeah.
waiting for one more question to come through, and I think afterwards we're gonna wrap that up, and I'm gonna order some pizza. I think.
I don't know why this episode's knackered me out so much. I think
I
it's
think
just
it's
because
because
like
I think a lot of the time it's just like it's one of those things where it's just like there's a lot of like I won't say there's a lot of emotion there, but there's a lot of like, well maybe there is emotion there, like. It's one of those things where it's just like sometimes like to talk about these things it does take like an emotional toll on you, because like at the end of the day I think you and I both want to see this game survive, but there's a lot of
yeah.
things or like survive and flourish and get better and so on and so forth. But I think there's a lot of times there's a lot of decisions being made that you and I will sit here and just be like, why? Even though we
Yeah.
disagree, even though we disagree on them, I think the overall question of why still remains. And I think today was a lot of those why questions.
It was a lot of what ifs and sort of future scenarios as well.
Yes,
And I
yes.
think that like not just that as well, but like I said this during the Red Room speech where it's like I don't want to have to explain why I'm looking forward to Red Room. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? But that is the point. And by the way, I'm like I love that I'm here. I love that I get to talk to people, but it's like when you're in this even without this podcast, you have to explain yourself. I've noticed. And
Sure.
like a lot of places will want you to be like, "Whoa, hang on, you fucking do this, do that," because you were excited for Red Room, and it's just like, mate.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it's just like I think it's like you can be excited for it. Like I'm not saying you specifically, Stardust, right? You could be excited for something, but there's a lot of undertones with a lot of the things going on in the game right now that really question people's kind of commitment to like the game itself, right? So like it's similarly like the way you said you're excited for Red Room Takeover, but you're not naive to a lot of the other things going on that could hinder your enjoyment of that one specific game mode, right? And I think
Yeah.
there's a disconnect between trying to explain like there's a disconnect between trying to explain that even though you yourself still know in your heart it's like I know the game has some fucking issues. I know there's ways that this game could crash and burn within the next 6 months, but I'm still going to take Thursday as a time where I can sit down and play and enjoy the game, right?
Yeah. Well,
Right.
that's the thing as well is that like I can say I'm excited for Red Room, but then along with that, I have to tell sucks about Yelena. It's shit that
Mm,
this, shit that that. Whereas
sure.
really deep down, a casual player can be like, I'm looking forward to it. Like, if I wasn't, and this is the thing as well, is that I don't think if we were so invested, and this goes for anyone, not even just myself, I don't think people would notice the Elena absence as much as they will now, because obviously everyone's throwing out
Mm,
ideas to you, and everyone's like, what if you can do this? What if you can do that? I've
right.
spoken to you about my theories. Now it's shit. Now it sucks that she's not
Right.
involved. Like,
Well,
it
and
really sucks. Whereas before, you could be like, eh.
well, it's tough because in similar vein, I know what you're saying. So like, here's a perfect example, and I'm gonna do Marvel comic spoilers for anyone who doesn't want to hear this. Right, spoiler alert right now. So one of the perfect things that actually drives this point home is next month the X-Men are having like a big comic event to unveil their X-Men team, right? Um,
Mhm.
Now the problem is for someone who doesn't follow along with the news, you just know it's a big party. But unfortunately, what Marvel's done is they've already spoiled the twist of the story, which is someone gets murdered and then Magneto's on trial. So they've already actually spoiled it for people who are following along. For people who aren't necessarily following along, all they know is that, or maybe they don't even know that content is coming to the game, and they're just gonna log in and just like see this new content. Right. So it's unfortunate. Like,
Yeah.
the more involved you are, right, in terms of like the meta analysis, the news, the development cycles, the more involved you are, the unfortunate reality of that is that you're going to see things, and you're going to see them kind of be dropped in over the course of time versus versus someone who's not as involved just logs on one day and just fucking sees that there's things coming to the game, you know. And I think that goes with a lot of things. Yeah, like Hellfire Gala, and can't believe they showed the trial of Magneto. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing, right? Dean says himself, "I'm excited for a surprise at the gala." That's exactly the point. Is like the more involved you are, the more things are going to be spoiled because you're focused on like the news that's being pumped out versus like, oh, I'm logging into the game today and we're gonna play this, and oh my god, there's something new, right? And it's just like it's one of those
Yeah.
things, right? Yeah, and I mean, everyone here is guilty of it to a degree, right? You follow along the news. I mean that's why I'm here, right? That's why a lot of us are here. Is like, we want to talk about the game in a more direct sense, but unfortunately, talking about the game in a direct sense involves kind of having this analysis of the things that are going on within the game, you know.
I think it's because as well is that obviously it's quite exhausting being on a boat of like being afraid because now this is sort of an out of game conversation but not at the same time.
Sure.
It's a fear of like if I say something good about the game, you kind of feel like you gotta say something negative as well, just because of the
Um,
landscape of the community at the moment, and same vice versa, because then you feel like you're falling too much into a trap, because obviously the idea and for the majority is it's quite divided. So you have to feel like if you say something good, you got to say something bad right back. If you want to stay down that middle path, you know what I mean. If you want to be safe, so to speak, you got to do one and then do the other.
I don't
That's what
know.
I believe.
I mean, like, I don't know. And we could talk about like meta community stuff. Personally speaking, like, I just went on a full fucking rant about Spider-Man. Like, I don't like, versus like earlier, I was like, champions points. I just kind of call it as I see it. And I understand maybe there's like pressure that like you feel like, you got to like praise something or whatever. But like, I think at the end of the day, you know, and here's kind of where I'm at with a lot of it. At the end of the day, there's going to be people who watch this video, or people who are in this stream, or people who engage with my content, or people in the Discord, and they're not going to necessarily agree with everything I say. I don't agree with everything you say. You don't agree with everything I say. But it's the practice of just kind of like walking away from a conversation if the conversation isn't going anywhere. So, for example, you and I had a conversation about consumables. I think it's leading down a slippery slope. You just want to focus on the here and now. We agree to disagree, but at the end of the day, there's no like bad blood between us or whatever, right? I think it's okay to praise something or shit on something. I think the problem is that there's a lot of people, and it's a lot of people like my Twitter comments for like the last like week or whatever, just strictly speaking on people who are talking about the Hawkeye skin, right? There's a lot of people who are right now for the past week in my Twitter replies who argue about the Hawkeye skin like it's life and death. And at the end of the day, it's just like, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know.
That's another reason why it can be exhausting sometimes though, is that like it's cool to have a conversation, but it's very difficult to just have like a straight up nice conversation when it's like
Mm,
people obviously like you fucking said this and they go for the attack. And I think that
sure.
like people obviously taking a step back and just going, it's a game. It is a game. It is. You know what I mean? And it's like this is a real fun you know, I enjoy talking, and it's one of them situations where, like, I have fun with it. I speak my, opinions and stuff
Hmm.
like that, and but it's more sort of like, obviously you've seen it before. People, it turns into verbal warfare. People don't like, and again, it's like not everyone's gonna like your opinion. That's totally fine, but it's
Hmm.
the fact that, especially with this game, I've noticed is that people take it very personally, and that goes from both sides of the coin. Whether if I say this game's amazing, people are like, no, it's fucking not. I'm gonna,
Well,
pew pew and
well,
shoot you,
I
and
think
same vice versa as well.
I think a lot of that comes down to like the way these characters, like a lot of the time it's these characters mean so much to people, right? So in similar sense, I see it in the Destiny community that a lot of the Destiny community are very emotionally invested in that universe and in that game, right? So
Yeah,
they want to talk about the game, and there's a lot of passion there. In the same sense, this game hasn't been out as long, but it's using characters that have been so involved in people's lives, right? From comic books to TV shows to action figures to movies, so you're invoking a lot of emotion here when you talk about this game, and people, and like a lot of and I said it the other day. What did I say the other day? I said sometimes passion can bleed over into something else, right? It's okay to be passionate about something, right? If you're passionate about these characters and having like a good representation of these characters, and you want to see this game survive and do well, so on and so forth. But I think it's sometimes like the passion bleeds over into something else, and I think that's where it is. Like when I wake up every morning and I see people are still arguing about Hawkeye's skin, like life or death, and they're going at people and they're calling people names or whatever. It's just like, boys, like I think it was on Friday. I sent a tweet to them. I was like, hey guys, like chill and have a good Friday, bro. And they were like, sorry, man, like you too or whatever. And it's just like people get it. Like at the end of the day, people get it. It's just like I think sometimes they get so into like they get so into like the art of the warfare, I guess, on Twitter specifically for this example, that people just keep going and going and going, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, I just look at it as like I come on here, I say what I say, you would say what they say. If someone wants to like engage in my ideas and like I engage in theirs in a cool way, totally cool. I mean, speaking of that, like Friday, like the one thing about Friday that I missed is bringing people on to the stream, right? Like I love talking to people in the community on stream, and that's the one thing I miss about Friday is that like Friday is my chance to hear what other people have to say that I don't necessarily get to hear. And that's like the best part, And I think a little bit of that, I it was missing for me on Friday at least, and I think that's one of the things that I love about this community is that everyone has such a passion for the game and these characters that even if I don't agree with their ideas, I still think giving them the time of day to talk about their ideas is still good.
well, I mean, I completely agree with that as well. Like, I started doing a thing where, literally same as the hair situation as well, where I was like, I'll get two opinions from both sides, put my own opinion on there, and just let people have a chat in the comments, which obviously you stole from me for the video. But anyway, um, fucking thief. No, but obviously, I loved having that conversation because obviously any sort of like, no, fuck you, you're wrong, or
Mm,
this is fact, no one else can think differently, was, I'm not having it, was not accepting it, because it's all opinion, like it was at the start,
mm,
and it's not fair to sort of like, because you notice it's so difficult to not find anywhere where the internet isn't hammering on you for an opinion, but that's all of the internet,
well,
especially
that's
for this
just
game where there's so much
yeah.
passion, especially for this game where there's so much passion involved as well.
Mm,
It's like, but that passion doesn't always have to be positive. Do you know what I mean? And it can always go to a different side of
sure,
the coin. And
sure.
that's where like sometimes you find like, oh, uh I'll say the game's good here and this will happen, or I say it's bad here and this will happen. And I think that just having like no divide and just having a conversation, it seems to me that's the best way to get anything put across.
Mm,
But because people are so passionate and so prideful of what they believe in, it's difficult to have a chat. So, like, I've
mm,
done those videos, and rather than people speak to each other, which was kind of the idea, they wrote their own comments, their own, like, essays of, like,
yeah,
these things are facts, these things rather, and you see what I'm saying, because they don't want to talk to someone else who has the different opinion. They just want their own voice to be heard, and overshadow someone else. So I was noticing, and I appreciated everyone who put their opinion down. And I don't think this was on purpose, but these replies were getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was like someone down there said something else. Well, I'm going to say something my thing, but make it fucking longer, do you know,
Sure.
and have more examples and more points and stuff like that. And I think that sometimes it could be a bit exhausting to kind of watch competition over an opinion on this game, where realistically, if the community spoke together and said, what is it that we really need? We all know we need endgame content, right? So we all said that together, and now that was a focus. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
something
Like a collective voice, essentially.
collective voice, exactly. Like, if everyone was respectfully like, listen, lads, we need the hair to be accurate. Like, we all say it, right? Say
Sure.
we all felt the same way, it was all respectful. I can guarantee you that would be a conversation they would have to have. But say it, but obviously you see online, you're like, you fuckers fucking doing this, do that, shit skin, dead game, never gonna get anyone's attention because
Well, and
it's
yeah, I see what you're saying. Like a collective voice is strong. Like, you know, instead of being fractured and like splintered, like the collective voice is stronger together. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I mean, I think if you're talking that kind of way things work, I mean, you see that within a lot of society itself right now, where like the polarization happens, and like it's probably not the time or place to have this conversation, but I think like overall you see such a polarization elsewhere that a lot of the time, you know, trying to listen to someone else's opinion who you may not agree with, it's like opening yourself up to a worldview that maybe you don't want to hear, you know. And I think that's it's I think
there's
if you're
always
looking at
that
a
defensive, yeah.
yeah, if you're looking at it at a macro sense, there's more there than just kind of like my opinions, right? It's like potentially you're opening yourself up to a worldview that you don't potentially want to open yourself up to. So because of that, there's like a defensive kind of mechanism that triggers, right? And I mean, yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. I think at the end of the day, like, I think at the end of the day, if people come here with like good ideas and want to chat about it, it's totally cool, man. It's totally cool, you know?
I think that's kind of the best thing, and that's why I do love this community as well, is because when I'm able to have a chat with people who are on each side of the coin, but they're respectful, and I can understand why and stuff like that. It's really nice to be able to sort of have those conversations about, okay, what would you like to see? That would be sick. I'd love that. Let's write that. I want to write that down somewhere. That's such a good idea, you know. And I see it in chat as well. Like, there's not people who, you know, are being shitty. You know, and I think that it's nice to see that. But then obviously, you know, you do get people who are on the kind of more passionate side that maybe, yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah.
It's very exhausting at times to kind of have that. So that's why, like, the idea of just seeing conversation happen always brings a smile to my face, rather than waking up and seeing like, you're wrong, the skins are shit, fuck you. Do you know what I mean? Or vice
Yeah,
versa.
you
Like,
know,
no, the skins are perfect. You're wrong.
just to talk about it. I wasn't even at the center of these conversations. And Drifting Crusader was just agreeing with me in chat here, but like even seeing people kind of just go at each other is exhausting over skins. You know, it's just like I just seeing like the arguments, even though like they're not directed at me, just seeing them argue with each other. It's just like, boys, like, oh man,
Yeah,
you know, yeah,
exactly.
it's
And
exhausting.
it's like, I'll wake up and I'll go on a Discord, and whether it's yours, whether it's whatever Discord, and there's this conversation to be had. And rather than sort of want to join in because it's respectful, that you both understand each other's point of view, you both get it, but you also have, you know, your own situation. It's not like that. It's either very passive aggressive or a bit more than that. And I think that being a more positive voice of change and coming together as an actual community and putting these things forward will do more than a divide of, this is perfect, this is shit. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, sure. All right, man. We got one more question here, and I know it's about 5 o'clock, man. We got to get ready for wrestling tonight. WWE Backlash. No, I'm just kidding. What am I?
I'm
So
not.
Dean asked the question: do you think the game is ready for if OLTs are legit difficult endgame content? Like, do you expect to have some characters breeze through and others be unplayable? I can picture an Overwatch situation where people tell you, or where people yell at you for playing Hanzo. That's a great question, man. So here's the thing. I think depending on how long they come out afterwards, I think you may see something where depending on who is really grinding or who's really playing, I think it'll come down to the player itself or not so much the character, right? So say for example, now we have this crazy champion point system in the game, and say for example, Stardust and I are going to run that first OLT together. Now
Yeah.
he's playing a character, and I'm playing Captain America. And, for example, if he's been grinding the champion point system, he may actually have a lot easier time than I would, right? I don't view it as like, I don't view some characters going to be more difficult than others. I view it as like, where in the grinding process are you? But I also worry that if you've done enough grinding with your champion point system, that the content is just going to be trivialized no matter what. And I think that's where the issue might be.
Yeah. So I think that's a thing that was sort of an issue with the champions points coming before IoTs in general. Is you're helping us get higher,
Right.
getting a bit more stronger, especially for 150. Like I said earlier, there's these crazy builds already in the game who
Mm-hmm.
are allowing us to be stronger. So now, do they need to look through their IoTs again and buff them up? And is that
Right.
going to cause more issues? Therefore, they're going to be delayed a little bit longer, or are you just going to say fuck it? We got to release these things.
Yeah.
They're hard enough. It's only not that difficult for people who want to go crazy on it.
Mm.
Um, there you go. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the issue. But obviously, if they're knowing that and they think, well, the first one can be a testing point, but let's tweak all the other ones to make them harder while they're not here yet or not going to be soon, then maybe that'll be all right. But I am a bit worried about that. I am a bit worried that a character who can be insanely tanky and strong, kind of like the Hulk, having that champion level buffs as well
Mm.
as 150, may be a bit ridiculous, you know?
Yeah, I think it depends on where the gap is going to be between certain players based on like the amount of time they put into the game, right? And I think that was the point I was trying to make earlier. Is like, where do you base your content on? Do you base content on someone grinding every week, Thursday to Saturday, getting your potions or your consumables, whatever, and they're grinding consistently, or do you base your content around someone who's not really grinding that much but still has an end game character ready, and because of that you're trivializing the content for someone who's more ahead at that point, right? You see what I'm saying? Where
Yeah.
like the balancing is going to be such a weird thing that they're going to have to work through now. And I think the first OLT, I wonder if that's why Colonial Labs is not going to be the first one, because like I wonder if they're going to look at how we beat Super Adaptoid and try to figure out what kind of balancing they have to do now. I definitely agree with you that like giving us the tools to get more powerful without giving us the first kind of test of where we are is like it's a little kind of, you know.
Also, to think in a business sense as well, which I know people are going to probably hit me for because I shouldn't be thinking of how they can make money or sort of not make money, but you get more time in and stuff like that. Is if you released the first OLT before Champions levels and they kicked our asses, like we were not, you know what I mean? Things were difficult, and you do Champions levels afterwards, that will make people grind it. It will, because
Mm,
people are like, I don't want to be bullied again. Like, I'm gonna fucking max my shit out, and then obviously you get these XP boosters out into your marketplace, get people to check out the marketplace, then you can make them earnable. That requires more game time. I'm not even living in a world where they're paid for. We're not even talking about that.
sure, 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 sure.
Like, and
So
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 obviously that's even more game time.
so drifting brought up a point. Maybe it's accounted for a maxed out champion XP character. I mean, to be honest with you, man, if
Maybe.
they're like, but 372, when like, what is it? Champion 19 is 200,000 XP. Like, for 372? Like, how much XP is that? You know what I mean? Like, if you're accounting for like people, like I don't know, like there's so many questions around it. It's just like without knowing one the amount of XP needed to go higher, right? Like how much XP between each level. Without knowing the date for the first OLT, like it's just like question marks, question marks, question marks, question marks, right?
Yeah,
So
totally. No, I understand that. I think it really depends because
mm,
obviously the Avengers people themselves, not on the official account, but obviously Andy and so on have been like, who's going to
sure.
be the first? So there's that dick swinging competition that I
That's
mentioned
so
earlier.
weird, man. Because like in the private meeting on Wednesday, they said to max it out is a significant time investment. That to me said like you don't expect to do it anytime soon.
Yeah, so
I
they
don't
must
know.
sort of I think they're saying that because if you are the first, they'll definitely give you some love, and because it's a long time, you'll be playing it a lot more. They'll, you know what I mean? So it's kind of
Hmm.
it's a mental game of who's going to be the
Yeah.
first one, who are we going to retweet? Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah. I don't know,
that's
man.
what
Just
that is.
yeah. No, just the way they said it, just the way like just the way they said it to us was like um just the way they said it, it was just like don't expect to do this like anytime soon, you know? So that's why like a lot of my stuff is like a lot of my criticisms is like based on like a lot of like what ifs, but it's also based on like some of the more obscure things they've said to us. And it's just like, oh no, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it'll
Mm.
take a long time. But if you, this is gonna sound really cocky, and I don't want to be, but there's ways. There's ways.
You
It's
did
like
you did
no,
say you're a
I
sweat earlier, right? So I mean, you're just leaning
yeah,
into
that's
that a
that's
little
a
bit
good
more.
point.
Yeah.
If you sweat him, and you know where to get that XP, do you know what I mean? You get your minor artifacts to give you a bit of XP boost. You go on quick match. You do the event that gives you XP grinds and stuff like that. Do you know? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's
Mm.
probably going to be some XP farming you can do. Maybe it'll be all right. I promise you.
Yeah,
Right,
sure,
right.
sure.
Okay. Here's the thing. I am
Yes.
going to try and be the first one. I am. I'm actually going
Have
to
you
try and go for
have you
it.
told your fiance you're not talking to her for like a week yet or what?
I'll get to that. So
Okay, okay.
basically, no, because basically, I need the experience points to get strong enough to have my own personal Omega level threat. You know what I'm saying? Like I've, I've got to fucking go through the dungeon, right, to get through to the final boss where I can be like, listen here, right? I am the man, and I will play Avengers this week. And you know what, guys? You know what I'll get for that? Smashed up PlayStation 5, boys. Let me tell you.
Probably, dude.
So,
Probably.
so
She's gonna whoop your ass, dude.
we were playing Resident Evil 8 earlier. Actually, she was pretty
Just really
cool,
quick. I know it's not an Avengers topic, but really quick, how is that game?
mate. Like I tell you, so you know when there's a horror game, but it kind of gives you the tools to not be
Yes.
scared of it, so you can kind of take the piss out of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that for a bit. So I thought, in order to not be scared of stuff, because I'm quite a bitch when it comes to horror games, so I tried to take the piss out of it. By the way, it's great in short terms, but I just want to explain this.
Sure,
And
sure,
then
sure,
you
sure.
get, and then you get to a point where, do you care about minor spoilers? Chat, do you care about
Yeah,
minor
I would say
non-story spoilers?
not
Non-story spoilers.
non-story. Okay, yeah, non-story. Cool. Go
Are
for
we
it.
okay with that? I just want to give some time 'cause I don't want to ruin anything. So I
Sure.
know I'm quite shitty with spoilers. Even if something as small as that got spoiled, I get angry. So
Sure.
I just want to make sure.
No problem.
Doesn't seem like anyone's quick to jump. So, all right. So I'll try and explain it. Right. So there's a part in the game where that opportunity to take the piss gets taken away.
Okay.
Okay. So you can't mock it anymore. You can't have fun. You have to take it as a horror experience. That almost gave me a heart attack. Like I went from the most cockiest little shit
Right.
to becoming very grounded in this horror-filled universe very quickly.
Hmm. Okay.
Like, whoa. Like, so I would entirely recommend it. If you're into horror stuff or not, I still think it's for you because obviously the gunplay and stuff like that. So you can
Hmm.
kind of. So what I meant by like you can kind of relax with it is because you're given guns and given weapons and there's quite a lot of
Right.
ammo everywhere, got a lot of chance to make money and stuff. That you're never going to be in a position where you're fucked. Do you know like until
Right.
you are. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Fair.
So,
Okay.
okay,
Interesting.
so the game knows it gives you a lot. So when it's not there, you know you
Yeah,
you're
I
gonna
know.
wish it
I've seen a
were.
lot. I've seen a lot of people playing it recently, and I've thought about it. And I know once again, it's not an Avengers thing, but taking a break from Avengers right now, I've been playing a lot of other games, and I was thinking about Resident Evil. and thinking about,
It's a really good palate cleanser, really good. Like,
mm,
because I'll be honest, and again, I'm not afraid to say this in chat because I think we're all friends, you know.
yeah, we're all friends here.
Because I get stressed out over horror games, right? I have to play it in small doses. Doesn't mean I don't enjoy it, but I have
Right.
to have a break. Avengers being so simple mind. I can go dull minded when I play it at the minute.
Right. Yep.
Is a very good palate cleanser from my heart rate going bah, 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 to being like chill, you know,
Right.
relaxed, and it's nice to have those two balances. I'll be honest, I'm almost disappointed that Resident Evil 8 is gonna end because I'm really enjoying it that much, and I'm really enjoying the balance I get out of those two games. That I
Mm-hmm.
might even go back and just play all the other Resident Evils, but I'm gonna be honest, and I know people are gonna hate me for this controversial opinion. 7 and 8 are way better than the others. Way
Oh, dude,
better.
we can't start fights in here like that, man.
Way better,
We
way
can't start
fucking better.
fights in here
The
like
only
that,
one, the
bro.
only one, the only one that I will put with them, but not
Mm.
for the same reasons, is Resident Evil 4.
Oh,
That's
like
right.
Resident Evil 4 is a really good one.
Yeah, as in
Okay.
like
Oh, dude, I thought you were going the other way with that. I was like,
no,
wait a
no, 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 no. No.
second.
So I love Resident Evil 7. I love 8 at the
Hmm.
minute, unless they do
Right.
something completely shit, but I don't think they will. And I love Resident Evil 4, but for Resident Evil 7 and 8, oh, sorry, no, I'm a dickhead. Resident Evil 2 Remake is sick as well. That's top tier. Sorry. Tristan helped me out there. I completely forgot about that game. Resident Evil 2 Remake, chef's kiss.
Mm.
Amazing.
Right.
Fantastic. So, alright, sorry, we're going in Resident Evil topic now, but you've got Resident Evil 7 and 8, which are like
Hmm.
horror filled. They feel like really arse clench. You know what I mean? Resident Evil 4 feels like an action horror game, but it's still really good.
Mm.
Resident Evil 2 Remake is all of that combined, I believe.
Right.
I believe Resident Evil 2 is probably more on the horror side. You very low on ammunition often, unless you play it continuously and stuff. Uh, Drifting Resident Evil 1 Remake, I'm not into it, mate. I'll be honest. Too much puzzling about for me. Not a fan. Resident Evil
Not a
2's
fan.
got a bunch of puzzles in it, but at least, like, there's enough to keep me going, oh! You know, like, to keep me, like, scared, you know? And I love, obviously, Mr. X chases you about and stuff like that. It's good fun. And because it's all tight corridors and that, it's, like, very
Mm.
scary because there's a lot of moments in Resident Evil 2 where you got to stop yourself and you got to do something even though he's still after you. So like there's a bit in the library where you got to move one of the cases to get across, and I swear lads, I was chasing him around the table like trying to get there, going no, like, sorting it out. So yeah, it's quite scary. What's podcast is this again? Where am I at?
Dude, I just asked one question about, because I think a lot of people are probably, well, I guess you could tie it back in, because I think a lot of people are probably not playing Avengers as much right now, taking breaks, playing other games or whatever. So, I mean, um, just kind of bringing up some other games that you're playing in the meantime is nothing bad. I mean, at the end of the day, I've always been of the opinion that one game isn't going to be it for everyone forever. Even for me, like I'm never going to play Avengers 24/7. So, I think it's good to keep in perspective what other games are doing, just because I mean, video games are about at the end of the day, video games are about new experiences and kind of having some fun. If that means you got to take a break from one game, if even if we're an Avengers podcast, I think like the understanding that like this game is people are going to get burnt out on it. I mean, just hearing it from you or myself, right? Like I'm pretty burnt out right now. I'm waiting for Thursday to come around and play it, but um I think the understanding of like you could play other games and you can enjoy new experiences, other experiences without having to feel like guilty or anything.
Let me just put it out there for everyone. I think that like, and this is obviously like, let me ask a question to chat, right?
Sure,
If
go for it.
we were to make this podcast,
Oh no.
like, if there's Avengers news, we'll cover it. If you just want us to talk about games and stuff we've played and just chat the shit, then please let us know. Because I've said to Hyrule so many times that even though, yes, Avengers is obviously going to mostly take priority for news and stuff, just talking about other games and chatting the shit will always be more enjoyment because it's
Sure.
not always us, like, talking about this. Do you know what I mean? Because some
Sure.
weeks Avengers is going to have nothing.
Yeah, of
And
course.
I
Of
feel
course.
like having a week where like if we had an episode where we just spoke about Resident Evil games, I mean
Or
that
like a,
sounds like fun to me.
what were you doing this week kind of like thing, right? So
Yeah,
maybe
just like what's
Avengers is
up,
kind of
man? Yeah.
stale. Yeah, sure. It could be something like that. Yeah.
So I just like because I know that obviously we had one a little while back where we
Mm.
literally made jokes the entire time, and obviously that was
Right.
a very like mixed bag kind of
Right.
episode.
Sure. Sure.
Maybe it's a separate podcast because I feel like other games would end up overshadowing the Avengers stuff, even though there's loads of content to talk about. I mentioned that as well, Jake. I think it's a lot of timing though. Like Hyrule's quite a busy man with his like fucking $1 million businesses and shit like that. Or alternate every week, possible. But then what we could do with that is if there's so say like we alternate every week. So the episode before was an Avengers one, but the week after is War for Wakanda, we'll say no, that's an Avengers one anyway, and then we'll do it back to
Mm.
how. Do you know what I mean? Maybe if Avengers takes priority, we could probably get away with doing something like that.
Sure. Sure.
Maybe.
We'll talk
Sorry,
about it.
man. I'm
No.
I'm literally stealing your channel.
No, you're good. I mean, one of the things I guess we can also talk about is the chess. You want to talk about the chess tournament between you and I?
Oh fuck's sake! All right. Okay, so me and Hyrule are over on the Discord, right? We have a challenge. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna. So you know how have any of you? And I hope this doesn't trigger anyone, but have any of you been asked by your parents before which one you love more? So that's kind of like here. So me and Hyrule are going to compete in a chess battle, and the winner for a month gets to be the official host, branded as the host,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one gets to be called assistant host.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
So
What
basically,
else
if
was
I
there?
don't
What else was there?
win, so but no, well, I mean, basically, if I don't win, then they're stuck with you hosting, the show for a month. So
How would you guys like me to open the show and go, Hello everyone, welcome to Assemble. My name is Stardust. Welcome back." You know what I mean? It's like, how good would
God,
that be?
I'm canceling. I'm canceling.
How
I'm
good would
canceling it.
that be? I'll fucking hack into your channel. I'll do it on my own, mate. I'll put
Great.
my little logo over your head. I'll film you while you're asleep somehow. I'll get like someone else to Stardust podcast. See, we're getting into it already. Everyone's into it. You might as well just keep
So
up,
yeah, guys. So basically, what's gonna happen is I think Stardust and I are gonna play, and we'll do. I think it's like a best of three, and then we'll see. I love you, Stardust, but you're way too chaotic for that. Yeah, I think he crashes and burns after like one episode. To be honest with you, like here's the way.
What
Here's
do
the
you
way
mean crashes and
so here's
burns?
the dynamic that works. So
Whoa.
here's how the dynamic works between us, right? Like I think everyone knows now that you're a little bouncing off the walls, right? You're a little you get excited, you have energy, you bring energy, right?
I've been
Whereas
way
I
too. Wait, no, no, no,
no, no,
no.
no, no,
I've
no,
been
no, no, no,
quite
no, no.
mellow
Stop.
this
I know,
episode.
I know. That's the okay. Listen. Let me finish. Let me finish. So the idea is that you bring a lot of tempo to the show, right? Like you're very high energy. You bring a lot of good points. You bring a lot of enthusiasm to what you say. Versus me, as like I take this as like I'm very much so like kind of mellow. Like I like I'll go into a rant or say something, but at the end of the day, I'm a very more mellow person. Kind of like take it as it comes, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of you being a host is like the host is going to be a little more rambunctious versus the assistant host, which to be fair, I usually give you a lot more time to speak, but I feel like that it's good to kind of get your opinions out there, but it's a very
You
interesting
see,
dynamic that works because of the way we go, and flipping that on its head may be a very interesting thing to see how that plays out. So we're going to be doing that, I think, the week of the 24th, right?
I have a point real quick, if you
Yes.
allow me to. I've noticed that a lot of these episodes are you asking me questions. I go on a tangent, and you're like, "Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know. I'm pretty, I like it. I don't. I'm quite in the
Hmm.
middle. I'm on the fence. Stardust, why don't you take the shit? Speak your opinion and get the shit for it, and I'll let you go." Like it's like mate. It's like, listen, right? You put me right in the fucking firing lines. because you're too busy getting blisters on your ass from sitting on the fence the entire time, bro. All right,
All right,
and
I'm just gonna answer a question quickly. So John Rem says, "What's with the same nameplates this week in missions? Didn't we do those last week and I didn't get them last week when I completed them? Why even try to finish this week's?" John, you should have gotten the nameplate for completing it one of the missions last week, but they actually reset. So the Ruskaya Protocols is a 2 week. I guess depending on how you correct it, say it's an event. But the idea is that you have 2 weeks to kind of stock up some resources. So they reset, but I mean, if you don't want to do them, there's nothing saying you have to do them. You know. No. Okay. So Stardust. When I look
that.
at,
I saw that. I saw that. What are you, what
so
are you
like
doing the bunnies for?
well, event, right? Like quote unquote event, right? So like for me personally, a lot of the time, I'm pretty open to a lot of different things when it comes to games, right? I don't really
Yeah.
feel like, so for example, consumables was something I feel really strongly about, right? But a lot of the time, and the Spider-Man stuff today I felt very strongly about. But a lot of the time, I usually try to just take things as they come, right? So I don't try to focus too much on, this feeling or that feeling unless something really pisses me off, because I'm pretty open about things that could happen or won't happen, or this happened, right? Um versus you do have very strong opinions, right? You kind of balance it out that way, right? You come in here and you have strong opinions. Me, I just kind of, I at the end of the day, ultimately, I got other stuff to worry about. So like when it comes to like a game, I love to talk about a game and love to talk to people about this game in particular, but I'm not opposed to one specific thing most of the time. So
Wait,
I'm pretty open about different ideas or whatever, right?
this is basically you trying to fancy dance away by saying I've got a life and you don't.
No, it's not even that, man. It's not even that. It's not even that. It's not even that. It's just like, when it comes to like my strong opinions and passions, at the end of the day, there's gonna be things that piss me off, but like I'm not gonna be to the point where like a lot of the time I'm not gonna like rant or rave about something unless I really feel strongly about it. So like when you bring up something and I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. It's not me trying to like walk the fence. It's like I can see that side, I can see another side to it. And ultimately, as long as they don't fuck it up somewhere along the way, I'm okay with what they do, versus someone else who may feel more strongly about it one way or another, right? And that's why I actually think I work better as the host than I do in the other role, you know?
So let me put it to you this way, right? Say the roles are
Sure.
reversed, and I get to like make the topics and stuff for that week. So say I come to you and I'm like, so Jonathan High Ruler, what do you
Yes.
believe is
Yes.
the situation with consumables? You can go first, and you'll say the first thing. I'll be like, well, that's quite interesting. I can totally see that side. I can also see the side of people who aren't too fussed at the moment. So let's talk about the next thing. And I'm like, then fucking fight me.
I mean,
Like
like
that's
that's, I mean, like that's kind of the way I just roll, man. Like,
he's all
that's
fucking chill. 420 blaze
I
it, Mr. High
I
Roller over
no,
here.
that was last night actually. But like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, man, like as long as they don't do something that's totally against the grain, like I'm pretty okay with a lot of different interpretations of the way they move things, right, or the way they do things, right. Even today, we called out the champion point system for being kind of a cool system that's kind of fucking like thrown in with a bunch of other things that don't make it work to the degree that it should, right? Like it's not like I don't have strong opinions elsewhere. It's just like I'm pretty open with different ideas or different things as long as they don't fucking completely fuck it up.
I think like I'm up for trying everything that this game wants to do. I think
Sure.
that probably my biggest complaint is that they don't do enough to experiment and just go mental. Like I think they're very like structured in what they try and do. And when you've got a Marvel game in your hands where you can literally get away with anything and retcon it in all your various different ways, it's a clone, time travel, different fucking universe, shit like that.
Mm,
I think that my biggest thing is like you've gone down this route of we need storytelling to be so precise, and it's not. There's a lot of
right.
loopholes. There's a lot of cherry picking we can do,
Sure.
um, which is like okay, so just go mental then, have fun with
Right.
it.
Throw
And
shit at the wall and see what sticks. Essentially, is what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Yeah. Sure.
like fuck it, why not? Like if
Yep.
you're basically already in a position where no one's gonna be 100%. No one is anyway, but you're never gonna hear complete 100% positive response to everything, right?
Sure.
So like, so when the roadmap come out, I was buzzing about it. I was, and I thought this is a thing that everyone's gonna love. And then content
Mm,
creators were posting like, "Look, I'm sorry, that wasn't the one we got shot." I was like, "Wait, what? People didn't
right.
like it. I'm dead confused." So you're not gonna. So just fucking do what you do.
Well, wasn't
Do
the
it.
issue with
Just
that was
fucking
that
do it.
well, wasn't the issue with that is that the content creators roadmap was a lot more
It
detailed
was a
and
different, yeah.
yeah, it was
That's
like
probably what
totally
it was.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like totally different from what they showed. Like apparently the roadmap they showed privately versus publicly, like the amount of things that were on there was just like huge. Like it was a big difference. And I think that was the more issue than just like the roadmap itself. It was like the amount of things on the roadmap was just brutal. And to be fair, when I got word on Wednesday, about the roadmap, I was trying very privately in my Discord to tell people not to have expectations of like a huge big change, man. Anything to do with the roadmap, it's like it's tough, man, because like anything to do with the roadmap, people are gonna think it's like big changes coming, and I was like, guys, like lower the expectations, right? Like it's tough, man, because like everyone wants a roadmap that goes like next year. You know, it's just
Yeah.
like and I think when people say like roadmap update, it's like ooh, I saw a lot of theories too, and it kind of like broke my heart a little bit because I saw people talking about OLTs, I saw people talking about a date for Black Panther, and I was just fuck, man, like it like I was like fuck, I was just like fuck, man, people are gonna be so disappointed with what you actually got, and what you actually got was just like a June release date for Cosmic
Yeah.
Cube,
I mean, I said it on the podcast though. I said I guarantee the roadmap update is June and stuff from the
Yeah.
bottom moving upwards. That was
Yep.
literally what I said.
Yep.
Like, so my expectations were always going to be there for that, and I think that like the champion system was that no, what was it? Was the champion system leaked before? It was,
No.
wasn't it? No, yeah,
Well, no.
because it
So like
was.
last week they'd said. So last week they talked about post level 50 progression, and then in the
Photo
video,
come
in
out with
yeah,
champion
well,
system, yeah.
it was a screenshot from a video. Yeah. So that
And
so like
yeah,
it's
well,
sort of leaked, but like not really leaked, I guess.
yeah, it never really told us much besides the name of
Yep.
it. So yeah,
Yeah.
no. But that and that's like, and again, it's for me as someone who likes the the gameplay,
Mm,
that isn't awful for me. Like if I was in that meeting, I'd be quite happy
sure.
about it. But at the same time, I totally get why people are like, there wasn't a Black Panther release date. Why did content creators say fucking anything? And I get that. I think
Mm,
everyone's. I think like because the content. And again, I'm not trying to shit on anyone because absolutely,
sure.
I totally get why everyone was like, it's kind of cool because they got to do it. They got to see it. It is kind of cool. Like it
Hmm.
would be. But I think like saying anything at all opens up speculation like that. You can say I went to this. Won't say nothing though. Looks all right, and everyone
Well,
will be like, "Yo, that's Black Panther." That
well,
like you
it's like
can't
this.
win that
Well,
situation.
it's like to tie back to the conversation earlier. It's like the moment you mention something, people expectations are gonna go wild, right? So you mentioned like
Yeah.
a homage to Black Widow, people expect Yelena, right?
Yep.
You mentioned you have news or information, and they've publicly talked about a roadmap update. Well, people are then gonna assume it's this, right? So it's like I can't fault people who try to like put something on Twitter and be like, oh, I'm like super excited. The problem is that like there's expectations abound when it comes to like the information that's being put out there, and it's just like you got to
Hmm.
be very mindful of these expectations that the community has, because otherwise you're gonna at the end of the day you're gonna be the one that gets the blowback from it, even if your intentions were very pure.
Exactly, and I think that like so like for example, and again, this is no slating of the content creators because I'd probably fall in the same trap. There was a thing because obviously I would want people to know I was a part of that. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like and that's and by the way, Jake is right. That Yelena thing is definitely not far fetched at all. But I mean,
Sure.
that was before. That was like even just seeing Redroom Takeover before the content creators explained the Yelena part would have told me she's probably got some involvement in there. Do you know what I mean? Just because of the
Sure.
name. But
Sure.
anyway, like I would probably fall in the same trap. So like not to single anyone out, so I won't mention the name, but there was a gif of Doctor Strange saying we're in the end game now and that end game content, OOTs, release date,
Yeah.
it happens. It
It's
does
tough,
happen.
man. Yeah.
And it sucks because they're obviously going to be like, why did you fucking spill the tea? And to them, it's like, what? but they don't. People, and I will fall under the same trap. I'd imagine if I ever get invited to this, I'll probably be egg on my face next time we do these podcasts with the same fucking problem. But like,
Yeah.
it's one of them situations. Where it's like, well, Endgame is obviously this. What this means to people, you knew what it meant. Those other people didn't. So people are going to
Yeah.
have expectations, going to run with it, and you like that's why that idea was OOT release date. It's just sorry, man. It's just not the way.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's totally tough. I think managing expectations as both like a company and like a creator is like one of the hardest things, you know. And I think that's why like on my Discord on like Wednesday or was it Thursday morning, I was like, guys, like just chill, like don't, you know what I mean? Because like I couldn't say anything, but what I could say was like,
Yeah.
don't expect the things that you're expecting, you know. And I think that was probably the best way I could put it because like I know, like I said, reading some of the theories over the course of like that 24-hour period, I was like, holy fuck, man! Like, it just sucks. It sucks knowing people are getting excited for something, and I can't come out and say like, guys, like, don't be excited for it, you know, or you know what I mean? Like, I can't, you know, push back in the way I want to. So because of that, it's like, fuck.
I think that's the thing as well, though, is that this game has very two different things. So if people are like getting excited, everyone's like Black Panther, Spider Man, OLTs, oh my god.
Mm,
Whereas if you say don't get too excited, people are like, oh, is it some sort of, is it shit? Like, is it like games dying, like games closing
yeah,
down? There is no way to, and it's not a fault of yours at all. You could have literally told people what it was, and people would have probably been like, nah, he's fucking us. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah, yeah,
nah, he's lying. Like, and
yeah.
that's kind of. That's why even if you try and negate it slightly, because obviously you weren't able to say whatever. Like
Mm.
I didn't even know you were fucking in it. To be honest, like because you
I
didn't
didn't,
put
I
anything
didn't,
on
I didn't,
Twitter.
I didn't know I was in it until Wednesday morning, man. Like Wednesday at 4 a.m. So
I couldn't believe it. I was betrayed. I
you
was
were,
absolutely
you were.
betrayed when that happened. I was like, how are you gonna have the worst part of this podcast in there and not me?
Shut the fuck up.
No,
Jeez.
I fucking I don't know what I would do in a meeting like that. You know, I feel like I'd come out with some right shit. Like that's great and all, but when do we get to have that cutscene of Black Widow using the bathroom?
It
Like,
it's so tough, man. Like, yeah, yeah, I know. You'd bring up the Kamala Bong situation and get kicked out.
imagine
So
that. Imagine that shit. Like, okay, that's great, but for the Halloween update, can we have a hallucinogenic Kamala drug episode where she sees Marvel zombies? Like, fucking imagine that. I actually want that though, because if there's nothing coming around Marvel's like Halloween time, Marvel zombie stuff, oh mate,
I think that's
that'd
such
be
an easy
sick.
thing to do, right? Well, I say easy, but like, you know, like that, like in terms of ideas, you know.
Just make the watchdogs a bit green and walk funny,
Hmm. Yeah.
and that's it. That's really it. And make the area and make some missions look a bit spooky, you know?
Yeah.
And that seems like that's it.
And that's it.
Like
That's
that's
it.
it. Like and have some Marvel zombie skins if you can. Don't do one of Kamala though. That's probably a bit mental. Like because of the age and stuff, it'd be kind of crazy. Like because the thing is, if they do Marvel zombie skins, they can't actually make them accurate to the comics. Like they can't because they're gruesome. Do you know what I mean? They can't have Cap's brain sticking.
Right.
You can't. You can't do that. Like that is crazy. But you can have some sort of like the monster zombies in WWE stuff.
Yes.
So why not? So like they're green with a bit of like fucking. They look a bit moldy. You could just
Hmm.
do that.
Yeah, that could work. That could
Dirty
work.
clothes, green, moldy, shit like that. Tom
Hmm.
Holland. Yes, it is I. I want to let you know that Toby Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to be in No Way Home.
Thank you. Finally, finally. I basically put a video out on the other channel insinuating that based on some leaks, and I did the work, and I agree that they are coming to you know, they are coming.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's it.
So obviously, make sure to subscribe to Tom Holland's Patreon. I'll post the. No, I'm joking.
Stardust doesn't sound like much
Like,
like Tom Holland, does he? Like from the moment I brought him on, Jake, a lot of people hear it. I sort of hear it, but I think that's just because I think we all English people sound alike, I guess, or something. I don't know.
What the fuck?
I don't
Whoa,
know.
whoa, whoa!
Anyways, guys,
Hang on.
I
Whoa, whoa!
think we're
No, no, no,
just
no, no,
about
no, no!
ready
You
to
can't. You no,
wrap
no, no,
up
no, no, no!
here.
No, you can't do
What's
it
up?
like that. You can't do. You're gonna be racist like that,
I'm
bro.
not, dude. I'm not. I'm just saying, man. Like, I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm
Jesus.
just making a joke, dude. God save the Queen. I love the Queen. All right.
Discrimination?
I
Oh,
love the Queen,
wow.
bro. I love the Queen. It's not. It's not. I love the Queen. I love the Queen.
Nah, the royal family's clapped here, mate. I tell you, they've got some dodgy shit in their closet, so you might.
Okay, so I don't love the Queen then. All right. I think that's it, man. I think we're just about ready to wrap up here. I think we've almost gone 3 hours. I mean, I literally thought this was going to be a short episode considering how much there was actually to talk about, but I think we somehow I think we're getting better. I think we're getting better at taking a lot of nothing and turning it into something, you know? I think we're getting a lot better at it.
Well, that's the talent I had from episode 1. I took your nothing and made it into something. So that's why you have me on anyway, you know. So, chat, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir. As always, I let you get first dibs at your outro there. So of course, shout outs, you know, please, by all means, man.
So everyone, subscribe. I just put me in the chat. Basically, I took over from High Ruler on the dev stream, and I really enjoyed it. So I might steal it. And so, if you guys want better content, no, I'm gonna stop being a dick. So basically, I do gameplay commentaries and stuff like that. As I mentioned earlier, I do some discussions, some conversations, and I do a bunch of stuff like that. Just build videos, guide videos, any kind of videos you can do. Basically, I do everything that High Ruler doesn't do.
It's true.
As
That's
in
true.
gameplay videos, because
Have you?
he doesn't play the game.
I do play the game, just not as often right now. Have you talked about your future plans with a lot of the stuff going on your content creation side, or are you saving that for the future?
I don't know what you mean.
Okay, you're saving that for the future.
No, I still don't. I actually don't know what you mean.
What
do you mean assemble for charity stuff?
Well, that, or even personally speaking of like your future plans, because I know you have them. I don't know if you're publicly talking about them though.
Do I have them? Help me out. Just say it, because I don't remember.
Your wrestling stuff. I'm giving you the opportunity to shout out your stuff, man, and it's bad enough that I have to like walk you through what your kind of content you're planning for. Oh my god.
So basically, guys, I'm just gonna say it because fuck it.
Okay.
I contacted 2K WWE, and basically I'm gonna make content for WWE 2K22. So that's pretty decent, isn't it? So you'll notice the video's already on there talking about the developer series they're doing. I'm going to do a few videos on that. I love the 2K series. I love WWE. I used to be a wrestler myself. So if you guys got any ideas for any wrestling content, if you're into that, or if you're just into Avengers, then, you can go subscribe over there. I'm actually doing a Rocket League video later where me and Calyx play together. You know Calyx, Android mod.
There you go.
So there you go. So just get ready for it.
Yeah, there you go. Stardust, the man of many.
Before we leave, I want to check if I got any subscribers while I did that. I didn't. What you all doing, F? What you doing? Subscribe.
Anyways, guys. Obviously, once again, thank you so much for everyone hanging out. Sorry, my stomach is kind of rumbling here. It's been 2.5 hours, just kind of chilling and talking with you guys. My bad on Friday. So Friday I wasn't around. So for anyone who didn't see the community tab message, I went and stood in a line to get my first shot of the vaccine. So I was kind of dealing with that on Friday, which meant I asked Stardust to take over. So if you guys went and saw Stardust stream, I appreciate you guys hanging out with him. It was kind of a last minute. I asked him if he wanted to do it. And he kind of stood up and said he would. So, obviously thank you again to Stardust, and then thank you for everyone who watched him. I'll be back on Friday doing a dev stream. I'm going to be doing more of that. As long as life doesn't get in the way and I got to go take care of something else, right? But
to be perfectly honest,
yes,
as much as I enjoyed doing the streaming thing, I think because me and you are so closely knit now because of this show, I think me doing a stream on YouTube for the dev stream while you also do a stream on YouTube for the dev stream would be pretty shitty. So I'll let you do that unless you're off, and I can join in if you want me to. How about that?
Sure, dude. That works. That works.
There we go. Because I don't want to take any sort of thunder, you know. Just
Oh, of
I'm so
course.
nice, chat. I'm so nice. Like I love that I'm giving smaller content creators like the 2,000 subscriber high roller compared to my 313. You know, just gotta give the little guys a chance.
You're a fucking asshole, guys. Man, you're a fucking asshole, dude. Imagine having the ego you do. Unbelievable.
What you mean?
You got an ego, my friend. You got an ego, dude.
I'm literally buffing you up in front of everyone. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, let me help this smaller content creator. Oh, I love
The
helping smaller
2,000
content.
subscribers. Yeah,
High
I'm
ruler should
fucking
be
helping you out.
thankful. Yeah, there it is. I should be
I love
thankful.
it. I love this chat.
Yeah,
You know, this chat is
yeah.
amazing.
I think honestly, I think at some point when it comes to the chess thing, they're gonna want me to lose. You know,
It's
I
just
think
because
so.
they'll know what the result is, and it's going to be fucking crazy. Like, imagine being allowed to say whatever I want for one of these because I'm the host. Like, I can literally say anything if I win. That's crazy. Like, if I want to talk about some mental fucking shit that I shouldn't even be allowed to say, I'll do it. You know? And that's great.
And with
Kneel
that being
before
said,
Stardust.
guys,
That's right. You know what, Drifting? You know what, Drifting? I've wanted Hyrule to kneel in front of me so many times, but guess what? He's taken, so there's nothing I can do about that. All right. So
and with that being said, we will see you guys next week here. More insane craziness. If Stardust doesn't show up next week, it's because I kicked him off. All right, so this could be the last time you guys ever see Stardust, or I guess see, hear, listen, vibe with.
I'll give no. Look, because
Yes.
we're doing a Black Widow thing, I can give you like Widow's booty cheeks, and I can like the punch one where I can like fucking fist your anus. I can do that with the Widow's bite, and like yeah, you and fucking you know, and that'd be crazy.
Goodbye, everybody. We will see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. If you're watching wrestling tonight, enjoy it, and we will see you guys next Sunday. Adios, amigo.